Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the Purple Breakdown. I am your host, Alex. I'm so excited to have you guys back on here on another episode. We have our special episode today that I've been saying for the past week, and I'd like to welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a long-term friend of Alex here, resident Bengals fan. So we're going to be discussing a little bit of AFC North football and give you some more context for mostly the Bengals' point of view going into this offseason pre-draft process, some of the vibes from our side of the AFC North, and a little bit also of some mutual distaste for Browns and Steelers.
Oh, yeah, and if there's any two teams that I would say going into this year that should be the contenders for the AFC North, I think the Browns will be the Browns, and they're not going to contend much. And the Steelers, I have a feeling, are going to have an under 500 year.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that. It's truly going to be the Ravens and the Bengals are going to be the two expected to be the front runners for winning the AFC North. It's going to be a simple look at the quarterbacks in the division. Not to say that the Browns don't have a good defense with a bunch of talent, or the Steelers don't have talented players as well. And obviously the teams are going to trade games because that's how AFC North goes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's hard to beat the same team twice in the AFC North. That's how it goes. There's so much, animosity, but also familiarity between the teams that you'll just know, like, the minute details to get after each other. But Lamar, Burrow, maybe the corpse of Aaron Rodgers, and the small flame of Shadur Sanders, it's really going to be the Ravens and the Bengals. And I think, honestly, it's going to come down to some very similar, reasons do they get it right in these same ways. I think you look at the defense for both of those teams, and obviously the Bengals struggled last year. I think the Ravens' defense had a down year last year compared to what they're used to. But I also think going into the year, O-line is going to be a position that both teams are going to need to get right. I think the Bengals, on paper, their starters look good with how the 2025 season went. But I think depth and long-term, they just extended Orlando Brown, who is for $20 million a year. I'd pay that, and that's fine with me at left tackle. I know some Bengals are used to having elite left tackles, but we're not with Anthony Munoz anymore. So sorry, but $20 million for that starter caliber is fine by me. Amarius Mims is looking to be a star right tackle. Our interior, though, is we've got Ted Karras at center, who's going to be very old, and then Dalton Reisner on the right guard spot, who's also pretty old. They're both great value signings. They're both cheaper offensive linemen who performed well. I like Dylan Fairchild, our left guard, who was our third-round pick last year. So I really like the young guys we have on the offensive line, and I like the value of our veterans, but I just don't see, past those five names, there's not someone I feel good taking on the bus.
Yeah. And that's the same. The Ravens are going to face the same problem. Our tackles on the outsides with Ronnie Stanley and Rosengarten, I feel, are set. They're fine. But you look at the center position, Linderbaum's out, and either you sign Ethan Pokic off the Browns after June 1st so you don't give up the compensatory pick, or you're going with a rookie at center. Because I'm not trusting Danny Pinter or Javon Gwynn off the Falcons to be the starting center going into the year. And then you have John Simpson at left guard, and then you're going to add in... Well, Andrew Voorhees is still there, and we also the year that Andrew Voorhees had at the Ravens, that was not good.
Yeah.
Our interior offensive line it's going to struggle.
See, speaking of losing your center to the Raiders, picking up Trey Hendrickson, I'm interested to see on your compensatory pick calculation, because in my mind, those two are probably likely to offset each other, and the calculation... Whereas I know at the point that it got to in the offseason, most Bengals fans were like, we're going to get a third for Trey, and we only signed Boye Mafe and Brian Cook, and so we should at least still get a pick. Now, do I think it's going to be a third? We'll see how the calculator goes, because who really knows how it's calculated. But I'm interested to see how the Ravens get their picks. Because didn't you guys get like multiple picks from the compensatory formula this year? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, we got up to 11 picks overall.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I believe we were starting the year with 6 to begin with, and they added on 5 for us, which got us up to 11. So we got a lot, but most of our compensatory picks come in the later rounds. We got 5th, 6th. 5 of our picks are in the 5th round this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a guy who's like, don't sleep on the 5th round. Like, you can still find a Puka Nakua there. Does that happen every year? No, but like, you can find contributors to your team in the 5th round. And like, I'll tell you this: the Bengals never move up. They value their picks really highly. Now, do they develop their talent well enough that I think that's warranted? No, but that's just, the result of the team philosophy.
Yeah. Well, and you can't shift from that. The Ravens do the same thing with the draft best available, and sometimes that you take a swing and you hit, and other times you take a swing and you're watching and you're like, and strike out.
Well, I'll tell you this. Through the first 2 days of the draft last year, I was telling friends of mine, gosh, I wish I could trade our draft class with the Ravens draft class, because, while they had quiet years, I think Malachi Starks, Mike Green, like, those are 2 guys that were, like, value fallers. Now, will they become great? Remains to be seen. But obviously, we can all agree Shamar Stewart was a massive disappointment for the Bengals last year, and I personally have been quoted as not being a particularly fond Bengals fan after that pick happened live. And I also was not in on the price we paid for Demetrius Knight. Do I think I like Dylan Fairchild in the 3rd round? The process that got us there, I also think, was flawed. Just with like how the draft fell and forcing the issue, and just because you got someone who seems through the first year to be developing and becoming into a reliable starter, doesn't mean that the way we got there is something I can enjoy.
Yeah. Well, and it's a different year. I think if you're going to take a year where it is the ability to get a draft class that you can build upon and develop, because when you look at this class, there's not as high of a ceiling with the players that are there. Well, no. The later rounds have a higher ceiling. Because the talent, if you watch did you watch the NFL Combine at all?
I did watch the NFL Combine.
Some of the numbers that they were throwing up had me like,
well,
stopping a second.
Yeah, well, Ohio person here, Lorenzo Styles shocked me.
I know.
I'm an Ohio State fan, and I was like, where was that all year? He was a relatively, minor piece in that just star-studded defense, and then he goes out there, has a blazing speed, and we probably went from an undrafted, guy to someone who I could see a team throwing a 5th or 6th round flyer, like, hey, we need a corner, we value speed, pick up Lorenzo Styles.
Yeah, it's just when you're in that, beyond when you leave the first round, the ability where you think what you could get sort of disappears, because who's elite, and then there's the theoretically based off the combine and what you saw at pro days that okay, is the talent there? But this is the prime example of Shamar Stewart in the first round last year, where he showed that he has the athleticism. Are they coachable to get up to the level where they need to be?
I don't think that it's Shamar Stewart is uncoachable. That's not quite where I think the issue is. I think he's just more misused, and so the Bengals really value the measurables for their draft picks. So if you look at the last, basically through Zach Taylor's tenure, our specialists are going to be fast, and our trench guys are going to be strong, and there's no really outlier picks, right? So there's Reuben Bain, his short arms would probably be a deviation from the Bengals standard procedure. Now, is there a lot of rumors that he's the number 1 guy on the board? Yes, for the Bengals, but also it's a different draft class in 2026 versus other years, just with I think it's a lot to do with the COVID and NIL and eligibility kind of push talent forward, and then the NIL money capital staying in college is pushing talent to stay. So we're kind of in that like year where it's kind of like the off year where a lot of the talent has been pushed outside of this year. So it'll pick up next year.
Well, you look at the draft class next year. Holy moly, is that a class? If you were tanking for a year to go get something, next year's the year to do it.
You look at the dynasty, community, and they're like, push your picks to 2027 if you can, is the big hubbub there. But no, I think the Bengals this year are going to be interesting because I think if you look at where they're positioned in the first round, the board has to kind of play out right for them, and I think in most outcomes they're going to be put in an awkward position because the big targets on their board are going to be gone. So, like, David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Reuben Bain, definitely the first two, likely the third will be gone.
Yeah.
That's my expectation. Sonny Styles, I also expect to be gone. I think Caleb Downs is kind of that last guy in that tier. That's like, there are 6 defensive players that, just with the Bengals needing defense so bad that, like, there's very little on the offensive side I think you consider at pick 10. Well, we can talk about Jeremiah Love in a second. Don't get me wrong. We'll circle back to that.
I got one other in mind, too.
Okay. We'll circle back. But I think just with the desperate need for an infusion of talent on that side of the ball, that, like, there's so much, like, pressure outside and inside to address that at pick 10. And I think if those 6 guys are gone, the Bengals are going to be looking at corner. And I think with Jermod McCoy's pro day being so, like, revealing that he's in football shape. Now, has he played a football game in a year and a half or so at this point? That's kind of a concern. So the Bengals are at pick 10, are going to be in a weird position where they're going to want to take corner, most likely, depending on who knows how April 23rd goes for them. No one knows how the draft is going to go. You can only guess. But I think short of one of those 6 guys being there, and they have to kind of run the gauntlet between a myriad of teams that have to pick other needs. So, like, the Chiefs, I don't see, the Chiefs don't have a secondary currently. They need help on the defensive end. Like, they could also use a linebacker. The Commanders need help and youth at just about everywhere on their defense. The Saints have some desires on the defense. Like, they're the 3 picks immediately ahead of the Bengals, I feel like, are gonna kind of take a lot of those defensive values there. And so I'm expecting Jermon McCoy or Mansour Delane. Those are the 2 top corners. And I think it's a lot like the Derek Stingley Jr. Sauce Gardner year, where it's like you have a very high-end prospect at corner and then another, like, higher-tier prospect with more question marks. And I don't know where the Bengals would go. Part of me was like, trade down, take the value pick, which the Bengals aren't afraid to trade down, but it's got to be like the right compensation, and they're usually a little more heavy-handed with what they want for it. Now, would the Cowboys want to jump the Dolphins for a corner? Who knows? Geriatric Jerry, so we'll see. But I think it puts the most likely outcome puts the Bengals in a very intriguing position of, like, do you take the swing on the higher talent, or do you take the safer, still albeit really high-end talent at corner?
And there's one actually interesting rumor that was put out on ESPN by their analysts today that may actually help you guys, is that they're putting that the Chiefs are being expected to trade with the Lions for Sam Laporta.
Really?
And if they go for Sam Laporta, you're giving up a first. Is it this year, though?
See, I don't know if Sam Laporta's worth the first.
I think the Lions would demand it.
I think the Lions would want it. I don't think the Chiefs would. Definitely not trade 9. Maybe it's pick. I want to say 29 that they got from the Rams, who they got from.
Oh yeah, with that trade, they could give that up.
They could give that to get Sam Laporta, and I think Sam Laporta would be like chef's kiss, perfect fit. I don't see really the Lions wanting to move off of him just because he's young and very good on their team. I also think, they have plenty of other mouths to feed there. I don't know if they want to pay him when the time comes to. So
Yeah.
I could see the logic behind that trade. I'm not sure how, if all the necessary components would align for it. But, maybe like the Chiefs' second this year would be high enough that, the Lions would take it. Because that's kind of what they paid for Laporta, though. Is about that ballpark when they drafted him. And then it's a good tight end class for the rookies.
Love it.
Now, am I super enthusiastic? I think there's a lot of contributors. I think there's 2 guys that are going to be like bona fide yes. Offensive coordinators salivating to get these guys. Kenyon Sadiq. Was that the other offensive guy you were talking about?
No, there's one on
Really?
the line that I am looking at.
Oh, okay. Because I don't think Kenyon Sadiq would fit in Cincinnati because the Bengals, while they heavily value having, they've been proven that they've wanted a tight end who can block and catch. There's just not enough value in having a guy on the team that can do that they'd use a premium pick or a lot of cap space to address it when they can just have the running back pass block or the tight end either be a blocker or pass catcher. I still like Eric All. Now, does he have spaghetti for an ACL? Yes. I wish him well. I want him to come back and be productive. Because for a 3-game stretch he was showing he could probably fill that. But, there's just not enough of a passing volume for the tight end position to be a premium position that the Bengals care about in their offense. Now, do I think Mike Gesicki is a great fit? Was he someone that when he went and signed with the Patriots, I was like, I thought that was a mistake. The Bengals should have paid that for him and gotten him that year? Yes. But I do think the coaches value tight end more than the general manager values the tight end and Cincy.
Yeah. I think if we're looking at it, Kenyon Sadiq may fall and join the Ravens. I can see that so much.
I'm not as in tune with the Ravens as you are, obviously. My thoughts on that is A, he would be a great fit. B, is he the most efficient use of that premium asset?
I think if you're looking at premium use, you have Mark Andrews, who
still doing it.
I think we overpaid for what we got at $13 million a year.
I'm inclined to agree, but there's a certain point of there's guys on your team that is kind of like a pillar of the team, so you got to pay them a little more. It's like Travis Kelce, The Chiefs are definitely overpaying Travis Kelce, but the Chiefs can't, for public reasons, let Travis Kelce go play on a different team.
And that's true. I'm looking towards the future, and everyone thought that Isaiah Likely was going to be the next guy for the Ravens, and then we paid Mark Andrews. We let him walk because you can't pay. His asking price was going to be $10 million.
Yeah, I don't think either of those tight ends are worth what they were paid.
He got more than $10 million going to the Giants. He got paid mailbag.
Oh, he got way more from the Giants than I would have expected him to be getting.
4-year, $53 million.
Yeah,
he's getting paid there. But looking at it, Mark Andrews only has a 3-year contract. So in 3 years,
how many of the years are guaranteed though?
2.
Okay, so it's a 2-year contract with a team option.
You can void out on the final year. And so the thought behind it is, if you're looking for someone who's going to be your passing and blocking tight end, and the Ravens love their blocking tight ends. That's just how we operate. And Declan Doyle is that same system, and talking about him coming in. But if you can have a 5-year contract on him and control that 5th-year option, Mark Andrews could be out the door in 2, and then he is now your tight end of the future. And that is when and he can learn under Mark Andrews, because that was Mark for us for the past 8 years, was both the blocking and receiving tight end.
And I think Kenyon Sadiq is a willing and capable blocker. Is he an elite blocker? No. But he's an elite pass catcher. And usually it's a scale of, like, how much of one do you lose of the other? But it's just, like, tiers of, like, more, like, to work with. But I think Kenyon Sadiq is a great pass catcher and a very serviceable blocker. Would you be, like, how ecstatic would you be if we walk away from that first round and you're like, Kenyon Sadiq is a Raven?
On a scale of 1 to 10, my enthusiasm would probably be at, like, 7, because I think there's one other need that probably needs to get addressed first before that. It's something that I would not be upset in looking at, like, what Isaiah Likely's role was on the Ravens and being the stretching the field vertically, receiving, and Mark Andrews he gave that up to Likely. That was Likely.
Yeah.
He would be stepping in and immediately getting playtime doing that. That would be, you are now our stretching the field vertically tight end. Lamar's going to step out of the pocket and extend the play, and he's going to be looking somewhere down the field for you.
Mm-hmm. No, I would tell you, as a Bengals fan, understanding the Bengals are terrible against tight ends, I would very much lament seeing, Kenyon Sadiq end up in purple. Because I think it would be a great, like, anti-Bengals move.
Yeah.
Like, that's your, like, Bengals defense killer right there.
And not to shift too quick, but the one that else, because I think the Ravens, their first and primary need that needs to be addressed is the trenches. And
offense or defense? Which one do you think is a bigger priority for the
offense
Ravens?
right now.
Okay.
Because when
I agree.
We looking at, like, I know the news around Namdi is still cryptic, and we can jump into that later, but, like, if you bring in DJ Reader or somebody else in there, and it adds depth, and Namdi's not fully back, you're still more solid there, and you have Trey Hendrickson there now on the defense. It's been more solid. The center and guard issue it is such a glaring hole that it's like, if we don't address that immediately, Lamar's just going to get sacked all year long.
I agree that it's probably the biggest team need. I don't agree that it's your first round need. Because I think you can wait as a team and definitely find someone in the second round. Now, are you going to get Vega Ione or probably Emmanuel Pregnon? And I'm sure there's a couple guys who play tackle that are prospecting out to the Ravens to be guards.
And this was my one thought on you guys too, Spencer Fano.
See, I don't hate, and I'll be honest, I've not been that in tune to the offensive line guys this year. Because I think the Bengals are more positioned to look for depth guys than, like, true day one starters. But I know Fano would be a good one. He would be a guy where, like, if the Bengals trade back from 10 to, like, the late teens and he's there, I wouldn't be as upset about them taking.
Yeah.
Now, just as a guy who's very economic-brained, taking, like, day one interior O-lineman is just kind of not something I typically agree with philosophically.
Yeah.
It's like as much as, like, they say don't pay running backs, if Jeremiah Love goes pick 5 to the Giants, he's immediately coming in and being, like, the number 11 paid running back in the league. And, like, that's a lot of expectation. Do I think he meets it? Yes. But it's one of those things where, like, looking at the economics of the NFL, you have to have surplus economic value on your team to truly compete.
Yeah.
So it's like Burrow and Lamar on their rookie contracts were worth so much more than what they were getting paid. And so then you could use the leftover surplus capital and your cap space to go pay other positions and then have a better team. And that's why the rookie contracts from an economic standpoint for quarterbacks are like steroids for roster construction. Is because you get so much opportunity for that surplus value from one spot. Now, finding that once you have a matured quarterback contract is much more difficult because you kind of almost have to get a lot more numerous smaller value surplus wins. And I think if you look at the Vikings, last year they took a guard in the first round. Do you think they'd want to do over on that pick? Great guard. I'm not disagreeing with that. I actually love the player. Just where he went in the draft, I think looking back, most Viking fans at this point in time would be like, oh, we have so many needs as a team a year down the line that's like, it's kind of like early guards and early tight ends, and there's not premium positions are so hard to justify retroactively taking.
And that's early on. I really thought like the Ravens should focus interior defensive line first, and I was very high on Peter Woods. And now I look and I'm like, I still really like him. I think he can be something, but 14th pick.
Yeah.
That's justifying where it is.
Early on, like right as the season ended, he was like the Bengals expected pick. Like the second people started thinking about the rookie draft, and I was like, at pick 10, not a big fan. Pick 41, every day, right? So it's like there are no bad players. There are just picking bad player picks in the draft.
And it's justifying where is a player and what is their value worth at where you're at. And that's such a hard thing to do. And I was really liking Peter Woods, and then in the second round, Emmanuel Pregnant would make it there sometimes, or also Chase. And I was like, I can justify that later on in the second round because we're middle of the second.
I think Chase Pisantes would be right there round 2 for the Ravens. Like I think that is a totally projectable. Emmanuel Pregnant's one I wouldn't expect him to be there.
Yeah.
But like backup plan Chase Pisantes, I think you could probably like pencil that one in for like if I were the Ravens in their war room, like here's our like plans, you can probably kind of count on that one being there.
And I know the number one, most people right now are projecting that the Ravens probably go Vega. But I know on the up and up right now, more so, has been Jordan Tyson and Kenyon Sadiq. And so more and more people are saying wide receiver.
See, I agree with that. I think you can get a second round starter in your interior O-line, and I think you can get a difference-making weapon for the offense in your first round pick. I think Kenyon Sadiq would scare me. Jordan Tyson, as a Bengals fan, he would scare me. Jordan Tyson as, the recipient of that team, I think he's falling because of all the injury stuff, not because of the quality of player. And I think there is still another level to this Ravens defense of having a true downfield, like, apex monster receiver.
That's not Rashad Bateman.
No, we can all agree.
No, I know.
There, if you think of like how teams have to plan for Jamar Chase, just like F it, he's down there somewhere. If the Ravens had that in conjunction with their run game and like their middle of the field, like I think defenses kind of are able to not respect that deep game and kind of compress their formations against them to help mitigate, the current strengths of the team. And just like being able to open that downfield schematic stuff and like have a true like scary monster down there would go a lot for the team of not just your pass game but making your run game better in tandem.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's Declan Doyle's entire thing is he's been touting is we're going to hunt explosive plays. And how you hunt that is you literally, in my opinion, have the scariest backfield duo between Lamar and Derek that can make people bite down so hard. And you let Jordan Tyson run in the back.
I don't know. Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley might disagree with you.
That may be more scary.
It's in my mind 1A and 1B. It's like those are the two like quarterback running back like duos that's like Jaden Daniels and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is not going to respect the same run as those two teams. But yes, no. I'm just semantics here.
And it's the question: can Lamar stay healthy? Can Derek stay? Well, Derek is an enigma when it comes to running back and his health. That it's like, how are you this old and still at this level?
He still hasn't passed his like high school career yardage, right, or something like that.
Yeah, his high school years, he set records across the United States.
No, it's youth athletics should have like stepped in and been like, hey, you're doing too much on that kid, right? But,
and well, he was like, what his coach was running the ball 40, 50 times a game with him.
Well, you hear the story of him going to and talking to Saban, and he's like, all right, we need you to pass block. And he's like, Coach, I don't know how to do that. Like, I run the ball. I don't know how to block. Hilarious, but I do think this draft is going to be interesting, just to see how teams like adapt to the strengths and weaknesses, because I think there's probably only like a handful of guys that are true. They call them round one grade. What does that mean? Is he top 32 guys, or is it guys you think would be worth a first round pick in a regular year? I think there's not that many guys that are truly like first round last year. Like, how many guys are you truly excited about? I don't think there's a whole lot that you can like call that tier that would translate to other years. Like, I think it's definitely depreciated, the amount of guys in that tier. I think there's a lot of guys in that kind of like B tier of like they're gonna go in the first round because someone has to get picked. Would a regular pick 18 be worth this kind of value of player? Maybe. But I think that third and fourth round, there's going to be kind of a dip and like value for the prospect. But I think end of fifth and sixth, you'll see it kind of shoot up. So if you think about it graphically, the start of the draft is going to be very high and then jump down like very quickly. And then it's going to have a like mid-late first round little bump, and then into the second, and then fall pretty heavily into the third, but through the fourth, and then into fifth and sixth, start to see it like kind of go back up. I do think there's a lot of guys that are going to be names that people aren't going to watch because it's the sixth round of the draft. Nobody watches that unless you're sweaty like I am about that kind of thing. But like, there's guys. I'm going to say a name right now. Do you know who Red Murdoch is?
I do not.
Linebacker out of Buffalo. Love me some action. That guy is like the second coming of Vontaze Burfict, and some team's going to get him in the sixth round most likely, around that range. And while I don't think he's going to come out and be some kind of like all-pro, I think he's going to be a contributor who gets on special teams and then maybe starts to work his way onto the team. And we might look back in 3 years and be like, yeah, that was a great sixth-round pick.
That's what this draft feels like, though, is that it's a truly set yourself up for next year.
Yes.
Bring in the talent that may not be your true starter, but maybe good second backup, just like they're going to be in the rotation, and then next year you bring in the true, this is the juice.
I've heard it described as you got to eat your meat and veggies kind of draft.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're gonna get some trench guys, you're gonna get some depth, special guys. Like, are there gonna this isn't gonna be a 2021 draft where we look back and we're like, if you drafted a bust in the first round of that year, like, what was your team doing?
Yeah.
Like, you could be blind and get a Jamar Chase, the fifth pick, right? This is not that kind of draft class. We're talking about a linebacker going in the first 5 picks. Last year, people would have been, like, calling you insane. Like, you don't draft a linebacker in the first round. When Detroit took Jack Campbell, late into the first, and people were like, "Oh, that was such a reach." And then he turns out to be a great player, and people you know, people kind of learned a little bit that like drafting, positions of value isn't that like it's not this hard like law of NFL that like you can't take a good player at a devalued position highly in the draft. This year's certainly gonna be one of those like test cases of like where does Caleb Downs go? I can tell you it's gonna be top 10, like unless something crazy happens. Ruben Bain and Caleb Downs and someone else is there, like then maybe the Bengals don't take him. But I think it'd be the world in which that happens. What are the Vegas odds on that?
Yeah. I think a little interesting exercise here would be what's the top 3 picks for each team? I think going back and forth.
Okay.
Top 3 for us. And you're ahead of us, so
okay.
you pick first.
So the running like favorites among the community for Bengals fans is by far and away going to be Caleb Downs. I'll give you 3. The one the fans want the most, Caleb Downs. The one I think the front office wants the most, Ruben Bain. His arms would be, an outlier, and definitely for Bengal standards, but for NFL, kind of too. Though his pro day numbers suggest he's more in line with like an acceptable arm length. What the people are like saying it's a combine gate situation, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't. It doesn't matter. But I think the biggest, the top pick for filling the biggest need for the team would be Sonny Styles.
If he can drop there, yeah.
I don't expect him to be there. Like in my mind, he's not there. So those would be the ones the fans want the most, the ones the front office wants the most, and the one I think would actually be the best for the team. Give me your 3.
My 3, I think, if looking off it, what the fans want the most right now, I think it's still Big Io. So many clamor for it. I think if it's off what the front office is wanting, I'm going to lean towards you with Kenyon Sadiq, or it could also roll in there, and I have been hearing a lot going towards Ruben Bain as well. That's like...
I wouldn't expect the Ruben Bain to be there for the Bengals.
I don't think he's going to make it there either. And I even have some thoughts like Jordan Tyson making it there. Like, I don't know if he necessarily drops to that point either.
It's Jordan Tyson is interesting because for the longest time, because the 3 receivers are Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, and people were moving them interchangeably within their rankings, and it's like, pick your flavor of receiver, what you want there. I think looking at it now, the order's kind of established itself as Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson. The question is, where do these teams start to value those guys? Because a lot of people are projecting the Jets to take Mekhi Lemon. It's like, yeah, sure, they could use an elite slot, Amon-Ra type guy, because that's what he's naturally getting compared to, just play style in school. But looking at it, what does that do for their team? I don't know. Is another stud receiver really what makes the Jets better going into the future? Because I think everyone's kind of chalked it up. Aaron Glid's done. They're not turning it around this year. This is a build year. Next year they'll get their quarterback of whatever head coach they bring in, because that's the cycle of head coach has to use the quarterback from a previous head coach pick, and then you set the cycle, and that's kind of what you see with the Titans for a long time. Oh, they were doing that, and it's well, this isn't my quarterback. Well, then they get rid of the guy. The head coach is well, this is my quarterback now.
Yeah.
And they're well, you sucked with them, and then they get rid of that coach, and it just perpetuates that cycle. Sorry, not to try and talk about the Jets more than we have to, but no, Jordan Tyson, I would feel confident that he would be there for the Ravens, but if he is there, it's one of those things where definitely a Ravens pick to take a falling value.
Oh yeah.
The Ravens would be a team where just with their scheme, I'd be a little more confident in their scheme kind of mitigating the injury concerns of Jordan Tyson.
Well, he won't get as much of a volume share.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be less.
He'll still have these big plays and be like kind of like a Odell Beckham Jr. light is kind of how I expected him when he was good on the Giants. Is kind of how I'd expect that to go. But that would be a team where like that fit for the team. I think would make a lot of, and for Jordan Tyson not being like, he's not going to be demanded to be like this every down. We're chucking the ball, kind of how the Saints treated Chris Olave for a long time, and started to get him killed. The Ravens will do the opposite, just because how your schemes work.
And I think that falls right into the Ravens' philosophy, because it's like Vega Iona truly is and should be a later first-round pick, but he's getting drafted up because there's just like, as you said, there's not as much depth past the first, 8 picks. It's like, well, there goes everyone that everyone wanted.
Yeah, everyone agrees Fernando Mendoza is definitely the first-round pick. Like, that's chalk. Everyone also pretty much agrees that, like, he's not the most talented quarterback. Like, yeah, he won the Natty, he won the Heisman, but, like, if you compare him to other Heisman-winning quarterbacks, he's kind of the odd one out. Like, Joe Burrow, Johnny Manziel, like, Baker Mayfield, like, their stat lines were way different compared to his. And I'm not saying he's bad, but, like, Jared Goff first overall, if we looking back at that, like, okay, like, yeah, you need a quarterback. It fills your need. It's, like, good, but it's not, like, an insane value. Like, no one, if you restarted the league today, how many, what quarterback ranking is he,
Yeah. And I feel like
there's a difference in, first overall quarterbacks. Like, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Fernando Mendoza. Like, if you had to split your top 2, bottom 2, no one's putting Jared Goff or Fernando Mendoza in that top 2.
No.
That doesn't mean you can't go to a Super Bowl.
You just have to build right around them.
Yeah. You have to build right, and then you just can't give them a stupidly overpaid contract.
Which I'm afraid the Raiders will do that.
We'll see 3 or 4 years down the line.
That's true.
And maybe he comes out and is the second coming of Brady, and they win the Super Bowl this year, and then they're in it and lose it next year. And who knows? The NFL is a bizarre game to love.
It is. And this past year was an example of that, where teams that you expected to do well, it just cracked the bag. And then, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl. If you would have said that 2 or 3 years ago, people would have called you nuts.
Who's the one who put down the money line? Sam Darnold is going to win a Super Bowl out of all those quarterbacks drafted in his draft class.
If the script was real and you got a hold of it, you could make so much money.
Oh, my gosh.
But no, I believe you have some other questions prepared for me.
Yeah, we were going to jump into this, and this is now going into the nitty-gritty of the AFC North, especially between, do we want to start more at position-based, or do we want to start with the coaches?
We've talked about some positions. Let's talk coaches.
Let's talk coaches.
Because I know you're going to bring up there was a lot going on in the coach carousel this year.
Oh, yeah.
And as it turns out, Zach Taylor was the last man standing in the AFC North. If you would have told me that before the coach firing started, I would have been shocked, because John Harbaugh immediately turned around, was the highest sought after coach from the bunch. And he's a head coach within a week later on a different team. Kevin Stefanski is now on a different team. Both of those guys, like Stefanski, was a coach of the year not that long ago. Do I think that's an award that goes to good coaches that make bad teams overperform and then set expectations too high in the future? Yes. But, look at, Mike McDaniel, I always mix him up. The previous Dolphins head coach.
McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had it right. He won a coaching award, and then the team, performed kind of where you expected it, and then lo and behold, now he's fired. So, and then I think John Harbaugh was an interesting one, just because it was like, I'm interested to hear it from a Ravens perspective, and we'll go through the other two first and cycle back. But I think it was time. It was like a love that had, the flame had kind of burnt out. And I kind of feel the same way with Mike Tomlinson with the Steelers of
oh yeah,
he's so good as a coach that he drugged them to perpetual mediocrity. Which is if you look at NFL teams, usually they swing up and down of they gotta be bad so they can get some good picks, and then if they sign the right guys, then they're good. Look at the Bengals; they were terrible, and then they get Burrow, and they get Chase and Higgins and some other good picks, and they bring in some good free agents, and then they go to a Super Bowl 2 years later. It's supposed to be designed intentionally with how the draft system is compared to other sports leagues, that it's supposed to be the teams are pretty swingy, and then they it's kind of like a rotation of relevance as long as you're not Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But Mike Tomlinson was just such a good coach that he we're gonna be 9-8 guys. Maybe we go to the playoffs, maybe we don't. We're first round exits. Oh, whoop-de-doo. So I think that one was just it had run its course also, and I think the front office kind of got a little fed up with him because he was a little more anticsy.
Yeah, well, and he stepped away himself.
And you know what? That's true. If it wasn't for him being contractually obligated to stay with that team, I would have expected him to turn around and be on a different team. We'll see if once his contract period has ran out, if he can go land a job with a different team. I think that's how his contract is worded, and it's not one. It's how many years in the NFL. It's these years, because it can be different. But I'd have to double check that. But I believe it's that way. That next year he could go land somewhere, or the year after maybe. But Stefanski, so I'll stay with the Steelers for a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. They bring in
Mike McCarthy,
and it's very not a Steelers head coach hiring, because they one of those exercises I do is I try and pencil in who I think fits at head coach. I thought they were going to get Brian Flores. I thought Brian Flores would be a Steelers head coach. He's defensive minded, he's young, he's proven talented, links to that organization. I was like, it's Brian Flores. Then they go and hire Mike McDaniels Mike McCarthy. There's too many Mikes and Micks and all those surnames in the league. But no, they go and get him because he's a Pittsburgh native and he used to coach Aaron Rodgers, and that's about all I can explain. Now, is he a perfectly medium, adequate NFL head coach? Yes. Is that what you want as a head coach?
No.
We can come back and talk to it about Zach Taylor in a minute. But do you want a medium coach in the NFL?
No.
Or would you rather have a Kyle Shanahan, or Sean McVay? This is the whole. There are floor raising head coaches. That's what John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlinson were They're going to raise the floor, so you're never going to be that bad. McVay and Shanahan and who's the Minnesota head coach? I'm forgetting his name.
I should know this because father is a massive Minnesota Vikings fan. What is his name?
Anyhow, but those are guys that you're those are ceiling raising head coaches.
Is it Taylor?
No.
It's not Taylor. This is going to kill me.
Yeah. Anyhow, but those are ceiling raising head coaches where they have equity because of how good they are. They're not going to get fired anytime soon. They're going to take bad and make it good, and then make good great. Whereas floor raising is going to take medium and make it all right. And then the Browns. I liked Stefanski. I thought he was fine. I don't think he really had the pieces around him on that offense to truly succeed. I think we'll look back at the Deshaun Watson deal as the worst trade in NFL history one day. looking at how that exactly all went down, like, I think he kind of got screwed. But at the end of the day, you're a head coach. It's results-based world. You have to make do with what you have.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't enough for them because they went from a competitive team. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, everyone's like, the AFC North's the best division of football. Like, no doubt. And now it's like, it's probably the NFC North now. Like, most people probably would agree with that. It depends on how big of a fanboy you are.
You have the NFC North was so strange having no team end under 500, and you're talking about the Vikings starting the year 3-7,
Yeah.
and ending the year 9-8.
See, ceiling raising coach, not a floor ceiling raising. And then the Browns, I thought they were going to take their defensive coordinator and be like, we can't let you leave. The defense, the strength. Like, here you go. We'll bring in an offensive coordinator, and if they don't succeed, we'll kick them to the street in 2 years. And then they hired Todd Monken, and it's like, oh, I don't know if that's a ceiling raising coach. It feels more of like a floor leveler, not a floor raiser either. And maybe he's great. Who knows? But if he was great, he would have been hired earlier as a head coach, is my thoughts on it. And then they lose their defensive coordinator, so I see the Browns going from like kind of bad to like incredibly bad this year. And the defense, I expect it to regress because they don't have their defensive play caller.
No. And I feel like both those hires, when you look at McCarthy, what was the Steelers lacking this past year? A competent, potent offense. And they bring in McCarthy because McCarthy knows how to develop quarterbacks a little bit better and is thinking, if I can work with Aaron Rodgers and then work with whoever his replacement is, I'm setting that up. And the defense can sort of handle itself. And then it's the same thing with the Browns. We're looking at it like, hey, the defense, they're probably over-touting their defense and thinking what it can be. And then, okay, well, we have Shadur. Maybe we have something in the future. And if we can get somebody like Monken who's worked with Lamar, we can get that magic going here. And it's like, no.
But, yeah, I think the talent of the roster propelled Todd Monken, not the other way around. I don't know if that's like a crazy take. But from the outside looking at that with a passive knowledge, I feel like Lamar, yes, they developed a scheme around him and that worked and good. But I also feel like how much of that was Todd Monken kind of and a lot of coaches kind of luck their way into succeeding due to circumstance. So I'm not trying to throw shade, but I just don't know if Todd Monken is going to be able to take that success and translate it to the Browns.
I don't think he will because they don't have the same pieces that the Ravens or you can argue the Bengals offense. The Bengals offense is probably the most complete offense in the league.
Which is wild to think. This was another question I had for you. Who do you think has the best O-line in the AFC North?
Oh, dear Lord.
The Browns don't have a left tackle, brought in 4 guys.
And none of them solve it.
No. The Browns don't have a long-term offensive line. The Ravens have 2 studs at tackle, but they're kind of older, right?
Ronnie is 28.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and Rosengarten is 26.
Yeah, okay.
So he's younger, but Ronnie's
middle of the career, start the late of the career. So you've got some guys you can count on for a bit at tackle, and then your interior, there's some question marks. And then the Steelers, they've drafted some guys. Have they hit? It looks like they want to move on from some guys. So, it's weird to me to think that, in my opinion, and you can call me out on this one, comments can light me up. To me, it feels like going into this draft, the Bengals have the most complete O-line, and I don't think it's that great of an O-line.
I just think the rest of the AFC North is missing pieces that left.
Yeah.
And you got to think, the Browns don't have a center either. Ethan's gone.
I thought they brought in 4 guys.
Did they? Okay.
I could be wrong because I don't pay that much attention to the Browns to know they brought in these 4 guys, but I thought they just need a left tackle, and that's why they keep getting projected Monroe Freeling.
Yeah.
In the mock drafts.
I wouldn't go too far. I don't think any of our O-lines are
No.
You look at them and they're these are the best. It's
no.
You could say okay, these may be middle of the pack O-lines, but you're looking at them right now and you're there's going to be some problems.
He's gotta feel gross. Like, no one's looking at the AFC North O-lines and being like, licking their lips, being like, oh, yes. Like, I like Amarius Mims, but, like,
No.
like, Orlando Brown's not a top, like, 10 left tackle.
No. And this is the problem that it's going to be, is that I think the Browns, you're right. I can't say they regress because they're already part of the bottom of the league.
How bad can it get from here, you know?
Hey, they could go back to having 0-win years.
I'd be okay with that, just saying.
Go get who was that fan that put a fridge and then locked the fridge and was like, sorry, microphone fell,
yeah.
Was like, I'll open this when the Browns win a game again.
Oh, it's like the guy who's like my team, the European guy who didn't shave his hair till his team won like 5 games in a row.
Yeah. It's just, it's like,
don't do that to yourself. Oh, not the Browns.
and then the Steelers, like, if you are, Tomlin, you're right, drug that team through the mud to make them every year like a semi, like, we're going to be there at the playoffs and then lose. But now that they're gone, he's gone, I think he made that defense what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Their defense, I think, regresses.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And
I don't think
so
TJ
old.
Watt is the same guy he was 2 years ago. I think he's getting overpaid for the type of production he's doing now. And we can translate that and, you know, kind of segue to Trey Hendrickson in a second. We do. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited to talk football. You're going to have so many clips to go through with this. And I'm going to give you another one right now. What are your thoughts on Will Howard?
Ooh.
Tell me how you feel about Will Howard. I don't. I'll go.
Yeah.
I don't love him. I don't think I think he needs some development, and we'll see if he can swing it as the starter. Here's something to chew on. J.J. McCarthy and Will Howard basically are the same on paper. Like, Will Howard, slightly taller, slightly bigger, didn't have quite the win percentage, but they both led a stacked Big Ten roster to win a national championship, surrounded by talent and good run games, and, like, top-of-the-tier defenses. They both have the same kind of measurables. They, at least to me, have the same kind of, like, off-the-field, like, kind of qualities. They both seem like decent locker room leaders. Like, they have nearly identical passing numbers. Like, McCarthy had, like, 3 more career touchdowns. Like, and I know I'm kind of, like, hand-waving the differences a little bit, but, like, it's a little more here on the different stats. And to me, going into the draft, I don't know why J.J. McCarthy, at the time, I don't know why he went that early, and I don't know why Will Howard went so late, when to me, they look almost identical if you were to, you know, just take the stats on a sheet.
I think Will Howard sees the field better than J.J. At least
he's an inch taller, I think.
And that may just be because he is tall. But, like, if you Vikings fans are going to agree with me on this one, because you really watch what JJ did, and you were watching what he was trying to do. He had some moments where he could run, but how many times he looked down the field at Justin Jefferson? And I know it's okay. This is like saying Jamar Chase, because Jamar Chase can make any quarterback he's behind look significantly better.
Except Jake Browning.
That's that is Jake Browning's. There's a reason why Flacco got brought in.
There's a reason why we signed him back.
Yeah.
Man, I thought Jake Browning was all right from a couple years ago. Dang, all right.
But you look at, like, just how many missed reads he had, and now
you're going to miss him.
Do I think Will Howard can be developed better? If there was a place where I thought JJ could be developed, it should have been the Vikings.
Yeah.
Because they are touted as making mediocre quarterbacks look like godsend.
Well, and not just look good, but, like, they perform well.
Yeah.
Like, Daniel Jones was a laughingstock, went there, and then he was great last year. Sam Darnold resurrected his career. Like, I don't know why Minnesota isn't, like, Like, all these guys don't go, like, want to be there more. Like, Kyler Murray went there, and he's kind of not that, like, Shanahan tree kind of style quarterback. Whereas, like, there's other guys that I think would be way more interested in going there. Because, like, if it's something where you know you're going to have a shot to compete, and if you punch that ticket, you know you're going to get paid.
Oh, yeah. And even if the Vikings don't pay you, you're going to another team and making ugu dollars immediately. It's like, without a doubt. I think my problem with Will Howard is, like, historically, let's look at what the Steelers have done at quarterback since Big Ben has been there. Personally, I have a soft spot in my heart for Big Ben, and you may too, just because being
Miami University alum.
You have to be like,
well, you kind of have to throw him rose-tinted glasses because he wasn't that great of a person. You have to have a little reverence for the name. It's not like he didn't win a Super Bowl, right? Like,
yeah, he went out there and won one. No, this tastes like salt that's about to come out of my mouth.
No, I get it.
But, like, he was the same career as Joe Flacco.
Listen, I
don't...
But if you win one Super Bowl, you can't be that bad of a quarterback.
No.
Can't be that bad of a quarterback if you won a Super Bowl. You want to be a great quarterback? Start to win a couple.
Yeah.
Is Drew Brees not one of the best quarterbacks all time?
Yeah.
Didn't he win only one Super Bowl, if I'm correct on that?
Yeah, he only did.
He only won one Super Bowl.
And that's always the debate, is Tom Brady or Drew Brees.
And here I am as a Bengals fan, and I'm like, okay, Burrow's just Drew Brees, but a different flavor a decade later, right? It's like, I'm waiting for my chance that Burrow will actually go and win a Super Bowl. I hope. But until it happens, until Burrow wins multiple Super Bowls, and I don't even know if he'll win one.
Yeah.
I hope. It's not something that you can expect, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect to win a Super Bowl.
Well, there's so
but
much
you
that goes
want
into
to.
The luck that you... Because as much as you have to have...
Team health. There's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, and we can dive in it because we do have to finish up the Steelers and the Bengals. And
we're going to be here for 5 hours. This is going to be a long episode.
I'm fine with it being a long episode.
You can split it up into multiple if you want.
That's why I said it was a special episode. I've already told them for, like, since we started
I've been watching
this.
I've been watching them.
I've been like, this is coming up.
Okay.
And so they should know and expect a long episode. But, like, I don't think the Steelers are good at developing quarterback anymore. And they got lucky with Big Ben coming in there and being who he was. And then, since then, it has been a dumpster fire.
Pickett, I think, was a bad pick. I don't think that's controversial to say now. He got traded for, like, what, a sixth?
I think it was a seventh.
Yeah.
It was
like, listen, quarterbacks that are like Mac Jones could probably get like a third round pick if the Niners wanted to let him go, right? Like,
yeah.
Good quarterbacks will get, demand a high price, either just for the money or picks or players, right? Kenny Pickett, I think, was overdrafted because he was kind of that hometown guy. And then, he was like, oh, he's kind of average. The team's kind of average. Oh, let's try something, let's move on. Like, we're not going to pay him. I think that's totally reasonable take for the team to be like, this quarterback isn't going to be enough for us to win a Super Bowl. Let's move on.
Yeah.
No fault there. Have they moved on? They brought in Aaron Rodgers and drafted Will Howard, and, like, that's it? That's it?
Aaron Rodgers is a Band-Aid over a wound that is much larger.
Oh. It almost feels like, you rubbing some dirt on it, not throwing a Band-Aid on it. Because what does he do? Like, it's not like he's this guy who's going to come in and set the tone in the locker room and, rebuild, tradition in an organization. He doesn't strike me as the kind that's going to, he's there, he's going to play, he's going to get paid, he's not going to, go to your family's Thanksgiving celebration.
Well, and it's like, I think if he does play this next year, it is his last year.
And unless he goes out and balls, I don't expect it.
And I don't see, because my problem with it is, really look at that second to last game where it came down to the last game of the season between the Steelers and Ravens on who was
Oh,
getting
it
into
was-
the playoffs.
It was which coach is going to get fired game.
Yeah, and it was literally watching and going like that game before the Steelers were playing the Browns, and I had to laugh so much because Aaron Rodgers was crapping the bag every which way against a team that they just should have dominated and been guaranteed a spot in.
Okay, how do you feel about the Steelers taking Ty Simpson? Because to me, it feels like the Kenny Pickett thing all over again.
Yeah, if they really want to do something, honestly, now this would be Steelers fans are going to go after me for this, but let Aaron Rodgers go, let Will Howard play a year, tank intentionally.
Either he does well. It's why I like Shadur being the starters of the Brown. Determine if you have a guy that you like can actually build around one way or another, or definitively know that he's not the answer and move on.
Because if you look at this next year's quarterback draft class,
Oh.
it's what, 6 of them in the first?
Probably.
It's a massive amount. If there's a year that you go get a quarterback, it's next year.
Yeah.
Might as well.
That's my plan for my dynasty football team. I'm not gonna draft a quarterback this year unless like Garrett Nussmeier, falls to like round 5 in the rookie draft and fits and goes to like, well, if he goes like in the NFL draft to the Rams like pretty early on, that might be a guy worth looking at. But deep take here. Regardless, I'm just saying I don't think there's a quarterback that's going to be on the board for the Steelers to take where anyone's going to be like, oh, okay, cool, like, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't like Ty Simpson. I know some people do. I could be wrong. I'm not I'm not an NFL scout for a reason, right? But quarterbacks who've only sustained success for 1 year in college, the hit rate on those, if you look at the names they're next to, it's like, you're like, ew, it's just gross. Because, like, if you are an NFL team and you're going to draft a quarterback, it almost has to be a requirement that the guys played more than one season of college football well. Like, I'd almost rather have Kyle McCord.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather just run it with Will Howard and take whatever you can receiver-wise instead of drafting Ty Simpson. I don't think they're that different.
You have some receivers there that I like Michael Pittman Jr.
Oh, I like Mike Pittman Jr.
I think DK Metcalf. He's been around long enough that I was like, oh, he's got to be so old. He's turning 29 this year.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second, he's younger than I thought.
Well, isn't also A.J. Brown turning 29?
Yeah.
Like, there's different 29-year-olds, right?
And I think if you can take attention away from DK and let him, he'll operate better. And so Howard has receivers to throw to,
yeah.
But like,
and they have a unsung herald cast of tight ends that like you got a big dude who can block and catch. You got a dude who can kind of move fast and catch. You got a dude who can they've got like a tight end room that's kind of bizarre, but it like works.
Yeah.
And like you can look at the league and it's like 12 personnel was starting to see more and more use, like, taking 6 yards under the middle and getting a first down, like, how enough of those and you'll win a game.
Oh, yeah. And
the Ravens, I feel like Ravens fans know.
Oh, yeah, we did. That is our offense. Yeah. The best example I have of that is, do you remember 2 years ago when the Steelers and Ravens played in the wild card round? And our second drive was nothing but Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry running the ball. We did not pass it a single time, and we still scored a touchdown.
Listen, there was a game where last year where I think it was like the Bills whooped the Steelers running like the same run play over and over because it's
with James Cook.
Yeah, it's like, hey, until you figure out how to beat this, we're just going to use it, which is like a valid argument. Like, until you stop what I'm doing, I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, eventually they'll figure it out. Probably. But until then, like, it works until it doesn't. So why would you preemptively stop doing it? I don't know. Like, you got to bring creativity into an offense and, like, your play calling, but sometimes it's not that much if you've got something that works.
And I really think the Steelers are about to take a regression back with. If you look at, like, their defense is going into the back half of its age because it's just aging out. They traded and brought in a whole bunch of guys that were all older, and they're
Cam Hayward,
who did they bring
T.J. Watt,
the Dolphins last year?
Jonnu Smith, the tight end.
Ramsey.
Oh, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey. He's not that same dog anymore. He'll spit on your receiver though.
Yeah.
Who spit first? I don't know.
Well, it's the back half for them, and they're gonna regress. Which is, again, it's like, I know we keep getting off topic away from the coaches, but like
it's the flow of conversation.
If you look at who really is left in the AFC North on who is going, because one team has to come out of it at the very least, and who has always been on the edge of making it into the playoffs since they've gone to the Super Bowl, but are just unlucky because Joe Burrow cannot stay healthy a full year. It is the Bengals. Because
Clip that.
I don't think anyone should be arguing that the Bengals offense has the potential to every year be the best one in the NFL. The problem is you have put to the test on multiple years. Can you win a Super Bowl with the best offense, but the worst defense?
Well, the answer to that statistically is once every 30 years.
Yeah. And it's like, it makes for really entertaining games.
Oh, like, don't you love to watch the Bengals? I mean, the Ravens fans, maybe not, but everybody else in the league, when it's not your team, I'm sure. Like, would you rather watch, the Cardinals check it down to Trey McBride or watch the Bengals? They're chucking it.
Yeah. But 2 years ago, when the two different Bengals-Ravens games that were both 30-plus points on either side scored, those were so good games.
Side tangent. Watching the Thursday night game in Steinkellers when, like, they were ripping it and it came down to the Bengals' last drive and then there was, like, the no PI call.
Yeah, the face mask, that should have been a call.
I'm not here to debate calls. It's in the past and you can't change it. That's my philosophy. I know Saints fans wouldn't agree with that take, but you can't change it now. So what's the point in crying, right? It's like, it's whatever. Like, it didn't change anything at this point. So could it have changed a lot if they had won that game? Oh, for sure. That means the Bengals got into the playoffs, but it's gone. It's over. So do you want to talk Zach Taylor or Jesse Minter first? I'll give you, it's your show.
Let's go. Let's start with the final carousel, and then we'll go into the odd man.
Okay.
Because he is the true last standing of the old dogs of the AFC North now.
Yeah.
Because Minter, well, you could call he was on the Ravens before, but he's new to head coaching, and he's brand new.
Sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
No, you first.
I like Jesse Minter. I had him penciled in as my Ravens coach when I did that thought exercise. I'm like, Jesse Minter, he's either going to the Ravens or he's going to the Dolphins, and if he's smart, he's not going to the Dolphins. Because
it's going to be purgatory down there.
That's where the Dolphins and Jets right now is where coaches go to die. I don't think the Dolphins, side tangent, not sure they would have gotten rid of, hipster Mikey over there if they didn't think they were legitimately in the running for Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I think that they thought they were a realistic destination for it, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think they should have gotten rid of him. I like him. Side note, I think the Chargers offense is going to be nuts, and I would target a run to Gadsden pretty high in your draft game.
Yeah.
But, no, Jesse Minter, I think he's going to, I think he is one of those ceiling-raising coaches. Is he the most proven defensive mind? Maybe not, but I think he's done enough to earn the job. I expect him to continue to do well. My question is, with some of the injured and aging pieces in that defense, I'm a little interested to see how he's going to perform without Amata BK, and because if he does come back, he's probably not going to be fully good to go for most of the season, in my expectation. Your linebackers seem to be, getting a little slower.
We have two young ones that I am loving right now.
Okay. I was just thinking Roquan Smith.
Roquan
is getting a little older
up there, but last year, this is to the talk of a depth pick. All of a sudden, like sometimes those late round picks, you swing and you hit.
Chase Brown, I get it. No. Speak your truth, man.
Teddy Buchanan on the 4th round, and he's a true starter now.
Yeah.
And Trenton Simpson, I know a few years ago in the 3rd round out of Clemson, and he had some rocky years. But once Teddy went down and was injured this past year with blowing out his ACL, Trenton stepped up and looked like,
you know what,
he looked serviceable.
Your linebackers, if they get healthy, that could be a good unit. Your D line is a little. Matabike needs to come back, and then
it's just Travis Jones.
Yeah. And then your edge, I really liked Mike Green. I think the off the field stuff was the reason he fell to the 2nd round. Be that what it may. I liked him. You don't get to lead the college, football sack count without being good.
Yeah.
I think he and Trey Hendrickson are going to bring 2 guys that when it's a pass situation, boom, you've got 2 guys who I feel like are going to be able to get schemed up and get after the quarterback, which I don't like as a Bengals fan. Especially because Trey Hendrickson should never have been on your team, should have been tagged and traded, but alas, competent front office, maneuvers is not something you associate with Cincinnati. But your run-stopping defensive ends, it's
Tavius Robinson right now, that's it.
Yeah, I like the pass you got, but it's still football, and teams are still going to establish the run, so you got to deal with that. Now, pass rush is key. It's important. But I think without having your run grading defensive ends that can get in there and grab a leg at the bottom of, one arm a guard and grab the leg of the runner, I think your run game has a question mark there, and I'm going to be overly critical because this is the show and I'm an opposing fan, right?
Of course.
I expect the same. And then your corners, I know Nate Wiggins a riser.
Yes.
He's doing well. I think Chidobe Awuzie is a guy that's slept on.
He was our best performing cornerback last year.
I know he broke his back and and the Bengals moved off from him, but he's one where I still look at him and I'm like, the price you pay for him and the production you get, that is a value surplus guy.
I love that we kept him.
Mm-hmm.
I was.
And your safety room. Malachi Starks and he who shall not be named.
Well, I think, honestly, the Ravens have the best safety room in the entire NFL. With adding in Jalen Hawkins.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I would disagree if Caleb Downs went to the Bengals. And that might be the only case scenario. Unless, some random team with a Brian Branch and a Derwin James already there drafts him, and which would make no sense to me. Unless something truly bizarre happens, yes. Malachi Starks and, now I'm blanking on his name.
Jalen Hawkins?
Oh.
Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah. Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks should be a long-running safety duo that should put fear into receivers.
Oh my God. You leave how it's going to operate, because Minter loves operating 3 safety sets. And my subscribers have heard me talk about this a lot, because I went into an in-depth episode on how the Ravens defense will look. As Ravens fans, we love the offense, but where our true bread and butter has
the babies
always
in
been,
the defense.
Yeah, you got to be a defensive lover if you're a Ravens fan. And you look, he runs 3 safety sets, but Hamilton doesn't just operate safety. He gets pushed down towards the line. He operates out of linebacker.
Well,
sometimes he gets shifted towards corner.
Apex defender.
You let Jalen and Malachi sit up on the top, and you can do so much different pressure stuff with Kyle and just bring them out of everywhere.
Here's a name for you that I want you to go look. Rookie linebacker coming out in this draft, Kyle Lewis, out of Pitt. He is a linebacker that is like a nickel defender, and he's a great in coverage, not really like a downhill thumper, But I think him and the Jesse Minter system as like your nickel defender, and him paired with Kyle Hamilton as like two chess pieces you can move in that like middle, I think is something that if that happens, Jesse Minter is going to be like licking his lips, being like, "There's so much I can do with like disguised packages doing that." So.
That's the Ravens' bread and butter over the past year, is starting to disguise package. Because have you heard about the system that the Ravens created defensively to like revamp their defense?
Not overtly.
It's beginning to grow because it started with Mike McDonald, who's now on the Seahawks, and what it essentially was when Mike McDonald got brought in at the DC, the Ravens' defensive playbook had not been changed. What they had done is just had kept adding onto it year after year after year. So you get a playbook that's like this thick, that's 1,000 different plays, and as a defensive player, you're like, I don't even know most of these. And it's too complex and overdid. So what they did was they narrowed it down and they started teaching a new system where they said, let's scrap the playbook. The DC will create whatever scheme they want, but we teach it in 3 different ways. We teach systems. We teach what is your defensive front, what is your coverage, where's the pressure coming from. All you have to know as a player is, if you're on the secondary, where am I covering and am I bringing pressure? If you're on the defensive line, what is my line, where am I on the line, and what type of pressure am I bringing, or am I stepping back into coverage? And so it lets it simplify, and then you pair those 3 together, and you can make the same play, have pressure come from an entire different side, which makes it so much harder as a quarterback looking. And Minter helped develop that with McDonald coming until McDonald left, which made me angry that he didn't become head coach for us. Besides the point, I was tired of Harbaugh a few years ago, but...
Sounds like you weren't allowed.
Yeah, and that's he
could have won a Super Bowl if
we could have, and
oh, I'm glad you guys didn't. But
if we had, because we could be hunting another right now, but we're still hunting one. This is why I like
have Sam Darnold and Lamar.
What Minter brings to the team, because when you really look at what the Ravens have been, being a defensive team, and then over the past 2 years, Zach Orr just dropping the ball in every which way and getting bailed out by 1 or 2 players stepping up and making plays. And then it just got highlighted this past year when Ardarius got injured, and then Kyle got injured for a little bit there, and and Matabike was gone. It just showed that Orr was not...
The cracks showed the flaw.
Yeah, he was not what it should have been. And then Harbaugh he played favorites. He played favorites and wouldn't adapt, and the biggest show of that was the Patriots game where Derrick Henry, in the 4th period, ran on the Patriots, scored a touchdown, took us to the lead. Then the Patriots go down, score, because our defense couldn't stop them, and instead of putting Derrick Henry back in, who had just in the second half gashed them for 100 yards.
Remember this. I remember this.
Put in Keaton Mitchell and Rasheen Ali and go 3 and out.
Yep.
I was so angry.
I could tell you're still angry. Speaking of Saints and Ravens comparisons, before we, wrap up the Zach Taylor conversation, real quickly. So Zay Flowers said he wanted to get paid like JSN?
He did not.
Oh, okay.
So he came out, and we started the first off-season workouts out of anyone. We started on Monday, which was a day earlier than anyone else, but that's besides the point. He came out on Wednesday, and we had press conferences, and they specifically asked him, like, JSN got paid back. What do you want? And he was like, good for JSN. Like, I leave that up to my agents. I'm looking, and he specifically said, like, look, I'm looking to get paid off my performance. You'll see how I perform next year.
Okay. Good answer. Because I'm going to sit here and tell you Zay Flowers is not JSN.
No. I think going rate for him right now is they're expected $30 to $32 million.
Yep. That sounds right. That, like, lower tier wide receiver 1, high tier wide receiver 2.
I can't count him, because if you're, like, really looking, wide receiver 1, you have 32 teams. Every team theoretically could have a wide receiver 1.
Not every team does.
But I know. But when you look at him, last year, I mean, he has had 2 years above 1,000 receiving yards. Now, he's only been in the league for 3 full years. He had nearly 900 his first, 1,100 2 years ago. This past year, 1,200. and he doesn't get targeted in the red zone because that's just not the Ravens.
Yeah, that's also not really like his style.
No.
See, here's an interesting thought for you. Do you think if they draft Jordan Tyson that Zay Flowers is a 1,000-yard receiver?
I still think he is, and I think that's just because he is. If Tyson is going to be our more threat down the field, Zay is and has been our cross the field, and he is ridiculously good at creating after the catch separation, just moving in a way that jukes defenders, and sometimes that goes against him. Insert fumble in the AFC Championship, insert fumbles past years, and sometimes I get a little angry at him for doing that, but other times it creates separation and lets him get further, and I think at the end of the day, he is the homegrown wide receiver that if the Ravens part ways from him, it's
no.
What did you just do? But I think he will be a 900 to 1,000, and Tyson, what I would like to see out of him is being like that 800 receiver.
See, I think the Ravens pay him, first of all. Not saying he's going anywhere. I would expect the Ravens to pay him probably a little bit more than you would want. Probably closer to 33 and a half. Just because every year it goes up and players are always getting more, like, especially at receiver and quarterback. Like, those guys will get paid more than they're probably worth in the market because they're always, like, resetting the market. That's kind of the range I expect for him. I don't know if they bring in, like, a true alpha receiver. Like, if they brought in like a AJ Brown, do you think he still gets 1,000 yards? Because I like his play style. I think he would be like a top 3 wide receiver 2. I'm not sure that he's a wide receiver 1 if they bring in a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I get where you come from. I still think at the end of the day he's a lower end wide receiver 1 regardless of the team he's on, and he has what drives him to a 1,000-yard season, I think, consistently on the Ravens is that he legitimately does have a connection with Lamar.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's like not a good NFL player. I'm saying I guess the argument here is he's kind of the only receiver on your guys' team that like is a massive contributor, and so then it's like him and Mark Andrews are your targets when passing, and so like. I think a lot of his success is predicated just on the volume that, like, who's he splitting snaps with? Like, what's his target share? I don't know if you'd know that off the top of your head, but I imagine it's higher than
62%.
Oh, yeah.
This past year, 62% of the targets was towards him.
So say they bring in a Zay Flowers who gets 25% and Diggs, like a good 18% out of that. How much? Is a 1,000-yard receiver then? I don't know.
I think he sits around 1,000. I don't think he sits around the 1,200 anymore. I think it drops. It definitely drops. I think it'll sit closer to the 1,000. And that's just... if you're going to be looking at a guy who will be getting the target share because he'll be running the in-cut routes and sitting, like, coming across the middle and just being that first sort of, like, I'm looking, oh,
first
there he is.
option.
Yeah. And he's going to be the hit stick real quick.
Yeah. See, I just think there's also, I know this is probably a well-argued point. I think there's a limited amount of air yardage to begin with in Baltimore. Just because until proven otherwise, I'm going to assume your offensive scheme is going to stay similar. And you're such a good run team that I don't think you pass to like the same necessity for it to occur as like the Bengals are a pass-first team. Like, they're going to pass, so there's going to be way more air yardage than ground yardage. I think the inverse of that is the Ravens, where you're going to run with Lamar, you're going to run with Derrick Henry, and then you're going to throw passes in there. I think if, say, Jordan Tyson lands there in this situation, if Jordan Tyson has 650 yards, I think Zay is closer to 800 than 1,000.
I can see that. My thing is, if Lamar stays healthy and we are truly in shape and in form, there's enough room for all the big dogs to eat there. Because you look at 2 years ago with Lamar hitting over 4,000 receiving passing yards, he was 4,100, somewhere right around there.
And
Rashad Bateman had 890 receiving yards.
And maybe I'm wrong.
That's like...
And I could totally be wrong. I hope I'm not if this plays out. But, for your sake and your fans' sake, if I'm wrong, and realistically I could be, this is just like data-driven from what, I'm looking at. If they do bring in Jordan Tyson and then they kind of retool the scheme to like, hey, let's take some more deep field shots. If Jordan Tyson has 900 yards and... Rashad Bateman shouldn't have any yards if Jordan Tyson's having 900. And Zay Flowers has like 1,100, and you have two almost 1,000-yard receivers right in there. You guys should be winning.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's the hope.
Yeah, and,
that's the hope.
And hopefully not one of those situations where you're like, Jordan Tyson's on pace for 900 yards, and then like, oh... Jordan Tyson did Jordan Tyson things, and he snapped a knee.
We can't have that happen again because that was when Zay went down, and then Bateman went down, and then it was running Devontae Walker and just company that was like, oh my gosh, into that last game 2 years ago, that was horrible.
Yeah.
In the wild card round.
Time to get to Zach Taylor.
Yeah, I think that's been enough on the Ravens.
Last man standing.
My question is, as a Bengals fan, do you want him to if you have another year where you end, say, like 9-8, do you want him to stay?
Okay. In the situation in which we go 9-8, I'm going to say this very clear. If we go 9-8 with a healthy Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor's gone. However, this was not the year for Zach Taylor to be gone. I know it was very popular, especially in the AFC North, for head coaches to get removed. That being said, if, 10 or 11 teams lost their head coach this year?
Oh, so many, yeah.
Do you want to add to that? And, then you're picking from the pool of, fired head coaches and being very competitive for, the prospects coming up from college or, offensive coordinators, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very competitive year to get the best prospects versus they also didn't announce it, but after they went to the Super Bowl, extended him in secret for a year, which may or may not have gotten to the Baltimore circles. But yeah, so he was on contract for this year and next year. So that would be, and the Bengals don't fire coaches. They don't pay them to not coach. That's a Bengals thing. Whether you disagree with that or not, I do. I think there is a, addition by subtraction kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like Trey Hendrickson, we'll get there.
Getting close.
I'm sure, we're, busting the chops of the viewers on that topic at this point. But Zach Taylor, he got to a Super Bowl.
He did.
He's developed Burrow, whether you think that's him or other guys. His scheme works when it's Burrow. Now, is he a ceiling-raising quarterback? Or, not quarterback. Is Zach Taylor a ceiling-raising coach? Absolutely not. No one should be saying yes to that. He is not in the company of tier with, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan.
Oh, is that dying?
I think you might have to plug that in.
Oh. Sorry, everyone.
Cut.
Yeah, this will be cut out. All right.
And 3, and 2, and 1. All right, we're back after needing to plug in the battery because I think I'm yapping longer than Alex had intended.
No, I just forgot to plug it in.
Oh, okay. But as I was saying, Zach Taylor is not a ceiling-raising coach, the likes of which you would see for offense on the Vikings or the Niners or the Rams.
Yeah.
But he does well in Cincy. He's liked by the owners, which is more important than doing well, apparently. And he's found success. Do a lot of Cincy fans disagree with me that he deserves to still be there this year? Yes, people. There was a sign on the highway heading down into the city saying "Fire Zach Taylor," which is crazy work, by the way. But I think he still has a little equity left to buy him one more year. A lot of the failures have been injury driven, and this is the first time Joe Burrow's had an O-line. All 5 guys return, and it was also the best O-line Burrow's had in his professional career too. So, I think the offense is for this year forward looking, maybe more question marks, but for this year, I think the offense looks great. No one, I think, is disagreeing with that, and I think that's where Zach Taylor's bread and butter is. Now, do I think some of his play calling is uninspired, and sometimes he's going to do stupid third downs where it's like, it's, 3rd and 7, and he's like, well, let's just run it up the middle. And it's like, why, Zach Taylor? Why? Chase Brown can catch. Like, send him out in the flat, at least.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You have 2 of the best receivers in the league with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
And it's like,
you have options.
You're functionally, playing to get an extra 5 yards for your punt. So, am I saying he's great? No. Do I love him? No. Am I going to be sad if he's gone? No. Do I think this is his last year to do something? Yes. Do I think this was the year to move off from him? No. I think if you look at it, so your head coach basically has to be one of your coordinators. And it's going to be way more for Cincinnati to have an offensive-minded head coach than a defensive one for the inverse that it's important to the Ravens. Yeah. So, if Cincy has a good defensive coordinator, they can lose it and the team will still be fine.
Yeah.
Well, fine. They can survive losing a defensive coordinator. They can't lose an offensive coordinator if their defensive mind is their head coach.
Yeah.
So, and if you look, like last year, I would have loved to have brought in Ben Johnson. Oh, don't get me started. But this year is like, who would they bring in? Mike McDaniels from the Dolphins, I don't think can go from head coach to head coach. He's got to be a coordinator for a year, and then he gets another shot.
Yeah.
But it's like, who do they bring in? I don't know.
Commander's former OC, former Cardinals head coach, what's his name?
Not Kubiak. He's with the Raiders. I don't dislike him.
We all know.
I know who you're talking about. Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't dislike him. I just don't know. Some guys are meant to be coordinators. Like, Steve Spagnuolo is a defensive coordinator, not a defensive head coach. Lou Anarumo can attest. Defensive coordinator, not a head coach. The problem with Lou Anarumo is he can't develop talent. He can only use talent really well. And when the Bengals couldn't buy a defense anymore and had to draft a defense, he no longer fit, and that's why he's gone. So
yeah,
just throwing that one out there. Still love Lou Anarumo, love what he did. He just no longer fit the direction of the team. But Zach Taylor, who would be a better fit that the Bengals could get this year?
I don't think there's much.
Like it'd have to be an offensive guy from the college realm. Unless they were able to snipe Joe Brady before the Bills fired Sean McDermott. But even then, I don't know if Joe Brady, he's good. Is he that good? I don't know.
Because I feel like
because Joe Brady was the offensive coordinator at LSU when Burrow was there.
Yeah.
So, he know how to use the assets in Cincy. I just don't know if he would achieve that. So, interesting option. Is there one coach, offensive-minded coach, that if it went to Cincinnati to be the head coach right now, who would be a realistic option that you'd be scared? So college head coach or offensive coordinator in the league. Is there one that would really scare you?
Out of those remaining right now, none. I'm not entirely. It's the one
Clint Kubiak would probably have been a great one.
He was the one that would have scared me. If Clint had come there, I would have been like, this may not end well for the rest of the AFC North.
Mm-hmm. I see Jesse Minter as the defensive Clint Kubiak. So I really like the hiring for the Ravens, not as a Bengals fan.
That's if I was
caveat of the day.
If I was looking at really truly who would have been because even we're forgetting his name, even the one who came out of the Commanders. You really look at what he's done, and he can't perform at a head coach level.
Wasn't there also like something about him as like a person was kind of
Yeah.
rough too, if I'm remembering right?
Yeah, I think there was something down that line, but like that doesn't. What would have been interesting, and I felt like the best remaining offensive one that could have come out there was probably Joe Brady.
Yeah. And do you think he'd rather stay in Buffalo and become the head coach there, or be the Cincy head coach? If they made him pick, he's probably Water's gonna find the path of least resistance. I think he would have stayed. I think there's a couple guys that'd be interested from college to bring in. I'm not sure about it though. Like I could see the former Ohio State wide receiver coach becoming an NFL head coach 6 years from now.
It's the question of what does the offenses look like this next year, and if Zach Taylor truly does not perform this next year, and it is another 9-8 season, and Burrow is healthy most of the season, let's look at the offensive coordinators who performed really well and is up in that coach carousel again, and Mike McDaniel may be back up in that, and that's where you have to look.
I just don't see him fitting because the personality has to fit with Mike Brown and Katie Blackburn, and he's very not what I think they would be in on. So I would find it difficult for him to be the coach there. For the same reason, I don't think he ended up as the offensive coordinator in the Lions, even though he interviewed there first, because I don't see him being a fit there as a attitude and personality.
I will say he fit the Dolphins' personality.
He fit the Dolphins very well. I think he fits the Rams very well. The Rams OC will be a great. No, sorry, Chargers. Oh, wrong LA team. The Chargers he'll fit very well with.
I think the interesting thing is you're entering into an era where you talk about how the NFL ebbs and flows, and for the past few years, it's been an era where offenses have run amok and have been extremely strong. And you look what's starting to turn now, and Mike McDonald just won a Super Bowl as defensive-minded head coach. Brian Flores is coming out. These defensive minds are responding now.
I would argue that I'm not sure it went away, per se. It's just the counterplay is becoming more prevalent.
Yeah.
Because if you look at when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, that was a star-studded defense. That defense won the game, not the offense. The defense shut down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and then the offense did its job. The offense clocked in and clocked out. The defense went above and beyond. And then the year prior, the Chiefs' defense was the strength, right?
Yeah.
Their offense was fine. It's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to get it done most of the time. But their defense, that's, prime Chris Jones, George Karlaftis is doing great. You've got all these corners and DBs, and, that's when, prime, you look at when the Bengals lost the Super Bowl, they lost to the Rams. The Rams defense had prime Jalen Ramsey, prime Aaron Donald,
that was all of defense.
And then they had, and then the offense was good because obviously Sean McVay offense is going to be good, but Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp were great, and Whitworth was the O line was solid, but it wasn't like they had the dream team on offense, even though they hired OBJ and he was a contributor that year, but it wasn't like OBJ when you say the name. It was he's
I'll say the decision to line up Eli Apple across from Cooper Kupp was excuse me, what are you guys doing right there?
Chidobe Awuzie and Eli Apple were all the corners we had left.
That's true.
That Bengals roster was battered. If you look at it, 3 of our 5 O-line weren't starters going into the Super Bowl.
You guys still had a chance to win it as well.
We were an extra, probably second away from a Jamar Chase touchdown if our depth on our O-line was better. And the Bengals always do that, where it feels like they're truly 1 or 2 guys away from putting together a roster that could actually do something. Because, like, oh, they went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they had T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Burrow on rookie contracts.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, before the rookie incentives hit, too.
I wonder so much how different it would be if you guys truly had a middle-of-the-pack defense. Not even a top team, just a middle of the pack.
Our defense doesn't have to be middle of the pack. I like Al Golden as a defensive coordinator because you can look, the year they brought him in, our young defense already like started to see guys play better. Miles Murphy was a bust, and now people are talking about him as like, oh, he might be something now. Like, oh, our corners started playing well. Sorry, love Anarumo, but Golden was the one who's developing these draft picks. And he's kind of simplified Lou Anarumo's defensive scheme. You know, in big games will have its ramifications because against the elite offensive we're gonna do worse, but our worst defense will do better against not as good offenses. So it's a trade off there. But the 16th ranked defense, if you gave me that right now, and the offense stays healthy. Yeah, this team should make a run in the postseason. Like, there's no excuse.
Yeah, Is this a good transition into the range for both the Bengals and the Ravens on Super Bowl life remaining?
Yes. So, I kind of brought this up to you. Lamar and Burrow, I think, are on very similar career trajectories just with how they're, like, had early on rookie success, and then once they got paid, the financial assets of the team couldn't be used to strengthen elsewhere, and so now their defenses are seeing a little bit of a dip. The offenses are doing better, but have like a question mark here and there. I think while the style of the quarterback and the team could not be further, the similarities and parallels are very striking for the Ravens and Bengals.
It's really truly like a question of, is the urgency flame starting to get lit under both of because you really truly only have such a window to go out and win a Super Bowl before they get to a point where it's like, all right, this is now impossible.
Well, everyone, this season everyone was like, oh, Burrow's going to be the next Andrew Luck. He's getting all the, he was like so depressed in that one post-game interview where they lost, and he's like, I'm not having fun, and it's like, and everybody thought the world was ending. It's like, okay, slow down. Burrow's still here. He's still breathing. He just came back from an injury and lost a tough game where he didn't perform well. Like, the dude can have a bad day at work, right? Yeah. It's not saying, he's tired with Cincy. He's getting paid so much. He's got Jamar. Like, this is his home state. It's our home state. Like, he's heralded as a savior of the city here. Like, I think a lot more has to go wrong before he pulls that trigger on the ultimatum of I want out. And I don't think it's likely a reality until the third contract.
And you look how unlucky he has gotten truly with injuries.
Oh, dude, the turf toe?
There's
turf toe.
You see so many injuries where it's just and he has had one of the unluckiest careers when it has just come from injury. It's almost every other year it's something new.
Pretty much.
And it's something entirely different. It's
knee, toe, wrist,
And he is unlucky when it comes to that. Lamar has faced his injuries as well. It's just...
Well, I think it's interesting the injury-prone label gets thrown around to quarterbacks that get injured. And, yeah, sure, Burrow, call him injury-prone. He takes more sacks than he should because he's deep ball hunting. That's why I think Joe Flacco did pretty damn good because he knew how to not take a sack. And a Zach Taylor offense, which really predicates the quarterback decision making. I still think some of those concepts should be used this year with Burrow just to mitigate his own decision making, but it's neither here nor there. But no, I think they're both very oddly paralleled.
Yeah. They've both had deep playoff runs. You've made it to the Super Bowl. The Ravens multiple times have made it to AFC Championship and been right there at the doorstep, and both have come up short. And it's the question: how long of life remaining do the Ravens and Bengals have? I think the Bengals have a little longer because Burrow,
Pocket passer, not a runner. But if Burrow has another injury, who's to say he bounces back?
Yeah,
Knock on wood.
body
But
can only take so much.
They say, pocket passers last longer. That's assuming they stay healthy. Well, Andrew Luck didn't stay that long.
No. And the idea that somebody's, like, if you truly have a quarterback or even a player in general that lasts to 10 years, that's an oddity in the NFL.
Yeah. How many quarterbacks last that long? Well, Stafford's still kicking. Tom Brady had a pretty good run. Aaron Rodgers is there. Arguably, should he?
No, I don't know.
Who else is there from? Joe Flacco's a bench guy now.
Kirk still kicking around.
He's a bench guy.
Yeah, he's bench.
He's
now.
there just to take the first couple L's of the season and help develop Fernando. Who else? Andy Dalton's like the fourth string guy on some team now. I'm sure, but that does irrelevant.
How long has Goff been in the league?
He was the first draft of the 2016.
So this will be his 10th
year. Yeah, 10th year, I think, if my recollection's correct.
So
he's considered an old quarterback.
Oh, that's Burrow, Lamar, Allen,
Baker, Mahomes.
They are
Baker. Yeah, Sam Darnold. Geno Smith's a starter, I guess, too. But is he? But no, those tier of guys who we used to thought were just kind of entering their prime are now they're old. A new generation of quarterback is here. No one's saying any Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix. There is a new generation. Jaden Daniels.
They're here.
Whether maybe some of the worst guys in that the last 3 drafts. That's your young quarterback now. If you weren't drafted in the last 3 years, you're not a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially because quarterbacks come into the league old now.
Especially since COVID hit, that backlashed everything.
I think a lot of people don't realize Burrow's 29.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He's as old as Lamar. Lamar's 29 right now as well.
Yeah. And he came out 2 years after?
Yeah, but he stayed longer in college.
Well, he had a different pathway there. Yeah. But no, Burrow, this is Burrow's 6th year in the NFL. And this is going into his 7th. And he's had 3 career-ending injuries.
Yeah.
Or not career,
season.
Season-ending injuries, 3. So yeah, 50-50 coin as to whether, and it was pretty much, there was a point in time where it was 50-50, he either goes to the AFC Championship or he has a season-ending injury.
Well,
it's a 50-50 coin as to whether or not he has a season-ending injury or not.
If you go off the 50-50, last year was the injury. If you go off it, this year should be the hopefully stays healthy. Again, not
yeah. Well, and we'll see.
I never want to, as a fan of NFL fan, I always want to win as many games as I want, but I never want to win in such a way that the opposing team lost because a player got injured.
Yeah, that Thursday night game a couple years ago where the Ravens snapped Burrow's wrist, I still not enthused about that.
That is why we don't have tackles those ways anymore.
Oh well.
Which is it's in the past. I get fearful for the Ravens. I really if there is a time where you think the Ravens gotta go win one, it's with Lamar. It's got to be this year or next year. And he still will have longer, but as much as you talk about, he is 29, and at some point he will start to slip down the backside of his career, and it's
it's just that the running quarterback's lifespan is shorter. That we know. Go ask RG3.
Oh, yeah.
For some, it's way shorter than you would think. Cam Newton, blazing star, he was gone quicker than people remember. Lamar's life expectancy, Allen's life expectancy, it's when they were drafted, this would be the end of the expectancy. Which, yeah, for NFL's sake, glad it's not, because obviously they're stars and they're great players and you want teams to succeed and stuff, but it's like we haven't seen this trajectory, and when the cliff comes, and for this the modern running quarterback, so who knows? Lamar didn't have a great year last year. I'm not saying it's over. I expect him to do better. I think last year was kind of fluky.
But it showed because he was so injured the whole year.
Yeah.
You saw he got injured, and immediately it was like, oh, there goes so much of the play. And
if Lamar has a season-ending injury this year, do you think they're going to have serious conversations about is this the end for Lamar in Baltimore?
I don't think it's that time yet.
Okay.
I don't think they're ready for that yet. I think
it's not Philadelphia.
I think he'll get a contract extension. It'll play he at the end of the day is the Raven, the quintessential he is. Our team.
I don't think they go into next year owing him $84 million without doing something with an extension to spread that out. But yeah, no, I agree. I don't think we're quite there yet. But if you guys go 8-9, miss the playoffs, he has a season-ending injury the year after. I'm trying to scope out. Is there a time frame when you think that conversation would hit?
I think within the next 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
2 to 3 years. I think you're right on the edge of it because you think about it in all reality when you start hitting for the truly exceptional players that stay around a while, when they start hitting 32, that conversation really starts happening of where do we go? And we saw that with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco got older, and the Ravens immediately Lamar, you're in now.
Joe Flacco still can sling it,
and
but different style of quarterback. Kind of lifespan.
But that's when it happens for the Ravens. It'll come out where fans will be like, "What just happened?" Because it was the same thing with Joe Flacco. Fans, it happened. It won't get discussed much, and then bam.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next big one on the docket: Trey Hendrickson.
Love me some Trey Hendrickson right now.
No matter how much money he donates, I still have a dislike for the guy. First, gonna say my piece here. Trey Hendrickson shouldn't be on the Ravens. The Bengals committed front office malpractice. He should have been tagged and traded. Whoop-de-doo. There's 31 other teams in the NFL. 3 of them you can't trade with. So, at least Trey Hendrickson you can't trade with. So that leaves you 28 teams. One of those teams will give you a 3rd-round pick for Trey Hendrickson.
Oh, without a doubt.
One of them will. Now, any third you would get from that would be better than a compensatory pick. And the compensatory pick's next year, so it's only worth half the value of a third this year, because that's how the math works. I've done and looked into it. And then it's well, I don't even care if it would have been a 5th-round pick this year. I don't care. The Bengals don't make great picks anyhow. So why do they value it so high? You're not getting a 2nd for him. Get a 3rd this year and guarantee that he doesn't do what he did.
And he went to a division rival that, I'm sorry, he will be gunning for Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah. And I get Bengals fans are like, wow, why didn't we sign him and keep him? And that's that's not happening. He was done on the Bengals. He had an injury and then was sat out and didn't want to come back and didn't play. And even when he was on the field this last year, the prime window Trey Hendrickson on the Bengals has been gone for a while.
Yeah.
It's time to face that dance. He's going to a different team. He'll have a new life on a different team. I expect him to play differently now that he's getting heavily financially compensated on a different team. Fresh cities, new homes happen for a reason in the league because players do get tired of a team and need a fresh space around them.
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't have been on the Ravens. Because not only is now, not the last year, but 2 and 3 years ago, the guy who was led the league at one point in time, but has been the top 3 sack guy in the league consistently for a while now, is now on a division rival who you play at least twice a year. Usually on a Thursday night primetime game. What's up with that? Why is it always a Ravens home game? Please, can we get a Thanksgiving game in Cincinnati this year? That'd be cool.
I think one's coming your way.
They're due. They're due. If there's a Thursday night Bengals Ravens game this year and it's in Maryland, there will be torches.
I think one's coming towards you because There's no way they're not going to make
5 in a row would be absurd. But no, not only is now a premier player on the Ravens team, on a division rival, you didn't get an asset for it guaranteed. Now, did they not sign enough guys that I think they'll get a third or at least a fairly high comp pick for it next year? Yeah. But it also functionally cost the Ravens, like, there should have been a 2 first-round pick deficit to get Max Crosby. Do I like that Max Crosby's not on the Ravens? Yes. Would I rather have Max Crosby and you guys miss your first this year and next year than Trey Hendrickson? Yes. That difference in value from Trey to Crosby, I think, was not worth 2 first-round picks. And whatever happened behind closed doors with that medical,
we'll never know.
We'll never know. Do I think as a Bengals fan, the Ravens organization realized, hey, we can save our first this year, next year, and sign Trey? Yes, I think that's what happened. Light me up in the comments on conspiracy theory, whatever. But that's good business. Is it terrible as, like, sticking to, like, what you agree to? Yes. Like, is it low honor? Yes. Is it high, like, business? Yes.
Well,
but, sorry, I'm monologuing. I'll get through it in a second here.
Yeah.
But I found the excuse that they were trying to sign both to be lacking because I don't think the financials would ever indicate that was a realistic possibility.
No, it was not.
What's your take on that? Because I'm very intrigued.
When I look at it, and I started with this with the podcast as well, looking and saying, like, at the end of the day, it is not the Ravens' job to make the 31 other teams in the league happy.
Yeah.
It's their job to make the right moves for their team, and at the end of the day, it is better to save your 2 first-round picks, especially coming into next year and the talent that is there, and have Trey Hendrickson. Do I think we dragged out the process? 100% we dragged out the process. My only sticking point when it comes to what the health is on Max Crosby is I do think there is something with his knee. Because we had brought in 5 independent doctors from outside the team as well, including the Cowboys doctor, who is the one that was brought in on multiple others for multiple other teams, who was like, there is something wrong there. And it's not so much the this year health. It is the same thing as you're talking, like, if Joe Burrow gets one more injury and it's career ending, it's done. The thought is degenerative knee.
It's a liability.
And if you just gave up 2 first-round picks, which you can control 10 years of contract value right there between the 2 of them, because you get the 5th-year options on them,
yep.
And you get him for 1 year, and in 1 year he gets an injury, and it's like, well, shit, he's gone for 8 games now, and possibly not next year. That trade is blown up in your face, and it's just like, well, we just got the bad end of the stick, and the Raiders are going to be screaming happy because they're like, we got rid of him before he got injured.
Picks are higher.
Yeah.
So, no, I get it. It's why the Sauce Gardner trade, in hindsight, looks terrible now for the Colts and side of things. We'll see. Maybe, picks have these values assigned to them, and, because they all have specific money tied to them and all that, but it's like, it's up to the player to exceed or fail to meet that value, because very rarely are you like, yep, that is exactly market value for a rookie contract.
Yeah.
It's like either they're worth more or usually they're worth way more, or they're not worth it at all and you cut them.
Yeah.
Right? And so building through the draft is a lot of how you get that surplus value on your team, in which you will need a requisite amount to win in general,
yeah.
But especially like postseason, you have to have a lot to win. But no, the Trey Hendrickson one, the whole Max Crosby saga, I don't really care about like the process of how the Ravens went about it. I think the Bengals failed on their side of things. So it's like I think it was a good business move for the Ravens.
Oh yeah.
However, my one thing is Trey Hendrickson wasn't getting paid that much from all the other teams until the Ravens failed the Crosby deal and then went and paid him. So I think that shows that the Ravens kind of overpaid, or else Trey Hendrickson would have signed already for that amount elsewhere. Because it went 3 days into the free agency process, end of that Wednesday, I believe, right? That Trey Hendrickson signed with the Ravens. So I think a lot of teams were hesitant to give him, it's 40 a year, correct? Or is it 30?
It's actually even better. It's about 28 a year.
Okay, 28?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what the Bengals offered him.
Yeah, he took for 20. I think
he wanted out.
I
get it. The bridges were burnt there with the tag and the franchise tag and whatnot. But if he wanted to stay there, he could have stayed there for the same. Whatever. It's gone. It's over.
It is at where it is. And
you just got to keep moving forward and game plan. But I do. Okay, so it's not 40 because at one point in time someone said 40 to me, and I was like, "There's no way."
We're paying him about 28 million.
Okay, 28. Yeah, that's probably not the crazy overpay for him. But I do wonder, he's kind of not good in the run game, and he is good in the pass game, undeniably. But he's getting old, and he just had an injury which, at least on the surface, appeared to sideline him for most of the game. I don't believe it. It was like true. I think it was a kind of injury where you come back if you actually care. I just don't think he cared to play for last year.
Yeah.
I just wonder if this year the contract will look good. He'll play. He'll be adequate. You guys will feel good about it. And the next year he'll kind of fall off and be medium. And then that third year, you're like, man, we kind of want to cut ties with Trey Hendrickson, just because he's 32 now, which is old. Like a 32-year-old quarterback's like, you're kind of uncle status there. 32-year-old defensive end, it's like either if you keep it up for 3 years and you had a good youthful movement, it's like Hall of Fame level career span. So I'm just saying. I think it was a good move for the Ravens. I think it was a terrible process for the Bengals. I wonder how we'll feel about this through the lifetime of the contract.
It is a 4-year contract, so it should theoretically take him out to 36. What I really like coming out of this is that you said it earlier that Mike Green and him being on the pass rush, he is almost an exact copy of what Trey Hendrickson does. Could you look, Mike Green is better at the pass rush than he is at run defense. His run defense is atrocious is the best way to put it. It's
less than adequate.
Yeah, it's horrible. But he can learn from Trey and become a better pass rusher from Trey. And so if Trey gets to that third year and the Ravens are like, all right, we're a little done with this. Hopefully by that point Mike has learned enough from him that he has developed into an elite pass rusher.
Oh yeah, I wanted the Bengals to take Mike Green in the NFL draft. I think they just got burnt with oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. It's Jermaine Johnson? No.
In your second round?
No, he was a third round pick, but it was the comp pick we got for losing Jesse Bates. We used on the Alabama receiver.
Oh, I can picture that guy's face.
Jermaine Burton, thank you. Because he was terrible. Oh, it was bad. Waste of talent because he just couldn't get his life together. But I think they got burnt from that, and so they're really leaning away from any of the character concerns. And Mike Green obviously had a couple things pop up, and so I think they leaned away from that. But I do think he is a stellar pass rusher. I'd like to see him develop. He's got to, because he kind of went from a medium. He was a Marshall. I know Marshall's MAC tier school, so it's not crazy, but I do think his developmental runway, you have to expect it to be a bit longer than an SEC or Big Ten pass rusher, but I do think bringing in Trey alongside Mike, I think there's a lot to be learned there, and it'll also take some of the attention away from him. He was kind of only the only guy there last year, and so now there's two guys, and he gets to be the apprentice and learn from a master, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and when looking at like Trey as not being a good run stopper, the Ravens really in free agency, and I've talked about this on the podcast quite a lot as well, is that they need to bring in another free agent edge that is good, and this is actually where I've been touting Jadeveon Clowney.
See, I like Jadeveon Clowney. It's just he doesn't play where it's cold. He doesn't sign with cold teams.
He's already played for us once.
Well, like nowadays.
Okay. I would love to see him come back. And he did come out and talk about and say that he would love to come back to the Ravens. He did say that.
Or maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Was it Calais Campbell?
Oh, yeah. He, a former Raven himself, went to the Dolphins and the Cardinals. And
It was one of the, like, older, used to be a big name.
I think you're
defensive end.
Campbell.
He will not play for a cold team now.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it was.
Because Jadeveon came out and was like, oh yeah, I'd love the defensive room there. And Lamar was like, I would love him back. And Clowney was sort of like, yeah, I would like to come back. And really, like, his expected value is like $3 million. And
I'd sign him to the Bengals right now.
I'd be like,
the Bengals still have like $20 million cap space last time I checked.
Ravens have 30. It's like, you have cap space?
How?
Because we restructured Lamar's contract to owe him $84 million next year.
Hey, when that one comes due, man, I'm glad I'm not balancing that book. I will say, getting into free agents left, obviously we're at that point where a lot of the big ones are gone.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're going to go through the draft process, and then we'll sign. It's like that, final wave of free agents. But we can talk about who our team signed here in a second. But two guys who I think the Bengals should be looking at getting before the NFL draft so they can have the flexibility to go best player available. I think the team's biggest need as it currently is linebacker, because they have a second round and a fourth round rookie in which they reached on the second round and got like adequate value on the fourth round guy last year, and Barrett Carter in the fourth, and Demetrius Knight Jr. in the second, and Oren Burks was a free agent signing last year, and all three of them were like in the bottom 10 linebackers last year. So it's like they need linebacker bad. So I think it's truly the biggest need on the team. Along with, they probably need another defensive end, and then you're looking at re-signing guys, depth guys, and long-term deals. But the two biggest glaring needs for this year are linebacker and defensive end. And here are names I want to say. At defensive end, Joey Bosa's still out there.
He is.
He signed a one-year deal last year with the Bills for like $12 million and was kind of mid on their team. He did enough, but was kind of mid. Which I think he'd be a great fit in Cincy, because he could take like the first down reps, be solid against the run game, not a great pass rusher anymore. And then you bring in, they've got Myles Murphy, Shamar Stewart, and then you bring in those guys and maybe another rookie this year, and you kind of phase Joey Bosa out and phase those guys in as they go.
Yeah,
I think he'd fit well. I think he'd be cheap. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
No.
I don't imagine he'd cost more than he did last year. Like, he cost 11 something last year, I think. I'm sure you could match that and sign him this year. I think you could sign him for much cheaper. I think if you could get him for 8, that wouldn't be terrible. I think he's one of those guys that some team's going to get shafted in the draft and not pick up a rookie, and they're going to be like, man, we really need one more defensive end, and be like, pay me 10. Okay, all right, 10. Here you go.
There's actually a good stat I was going to say that you would love hearing. Did you see how many forced fumbles he had last year?
No.
7.
Hey.
He got 7 forced fumbles. I think he also got 7 sacks.
I would pay, I'd pay him $10 million. I'm just saying, he's in that, 8 to 12 range, probably on the lower side of it. Depends on the competition in the market and how much your destination is enticing to him, right?
Yeah.
So it's I'd throw money at him, and I would feel good about the D end room. I wouldn't feel great, but I'd feel okay with Boye Mafe, free agent signing. I think will be successful in Cincinnati. I'm not big on Shamar Stewart, but he just has to be a rotational guy in this scenario. I like where Miles Murphy's heading under the Al Golden defense. You bring in Joey Bosa, and you've got 4 defensive ends. And I mean, Cedric Johnson's a 7th-round pick, but he saw some snaps.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got guys in that room that you feel fine about, and maybe you draft another rookie, and then, like, now you have a defensive end room.
Yeah. Well, and if you're getting Joey Bosa, like, the thought behind that is, like, not so much that you get sacks, but you get something better. You get the opportunity at turnovers.
Yeah.
Because the turnover ratio, if you get 7 forced fumbles, that's 7 chances to get the ball and change the course of a game.
Yeah. The Bengals don't have to shut down defenses. They just have to outscore their opponents. So the offense can't give up turnovers, and the defense has to get some. The defense doesn't have to stop scores. They just have to keep the offense in opportune positions. That's it.
Yeah.
Force the number was 2 for me, right? If our defense last year going into the year, if they could limit it to 2 touchdowns in a game, and turn 2 touchdowns into 2 field goals in a game, and then get plus 2 turnovers, the Bengals should win every game. If they could do 2, limit 2 to 2 touchdowns, limit 2 drives from touchdowns to field goals, and get plus 2 turnovers, the Bengals should win. Because that's 2 touchdowns, you have to keep parity, 2 opportunities to take the lead and field goals to touchdowns, and then 2 opportunities to score extra points.
Yeah.
That's all. That's it.
And,
Is it super simplistic and kind of naive? Yes, I get that. But
well, you guys have, if you're talking about opportunity just to get scores, not only do you have one of the best offenses in the league where you get the touchdowns, it always used to be that in the AFC North, the Ravens had the best kicker. It's McPherson now.
yeah.
You have the
Speaking
range.
of, to Ravens fans who don't mind wearing Justin Tucker jerseys, you can buy them for like $15. Last time I checked,
Yeah.
I did buy one as a gag gift for a friend. So
You never catch many Ravens fans wearing a Justin Tucker jersey
well,
anymore.
this guy's a Bengals fan.
Oh.
And so he will be getting a couple of really cheap jerseys that I doubt he'd wear any of them. But that's a funny story for anecdote. Like I said, linebacker would be the biggest need in my mind for the Bengals. And there's 2 veteran proven free agent linebackers that have the name Bobby that I would love if they ended on the team. Either of them. Everyone's going to think Bobby Wagner. I love Bobby Wagner. Our linebackers are fine in coverage. Zach Taylor talked about, hey, Demetrius Knight Jr. is a solid linebacker, but we don't want to be forced into using him as our on the line thumping, blitzing linebacker. We want someone else. Well, that's what Bobby Wagner's good at this point in his career. Don't ask him to head backwards. Keep him downfield, hit the gap, get after the runner, blitz when it becomes a pass. That's what he's good at. So I think he'd fit. I think you could sign him, $4 to $6 million-ish a year. I think you could sign him and Joey Bosa going to this draft and feel fine as a Bengals fan. The other one, Bobby Okereke from the Giants. He had a great year last year. I think he slept on. I think you could sign him for 3 to 5, and him be maybe even a better contributor to your team. And he would do probably a similar role because that's what the Bengals need. But he was fine. I honestly thought for the price that he probably is going to demand, I would have thought that the Giants would have kept him because they're running it with Micah McFadden, who he's just injured. He's coming off of a big injury.
You got Harbaugh in there, and Harbaugh's going to play his favorites.
Yeah,
That's Harbaugh's problem. But I'm interested to see if you guys can go out and my thought is because the draft is what, April 27th is the first day.
23rd.
23rd is the first day.
Is that Thursday?
So we are. Oh my gosh, it is the 10th. We are less than 2 weeks away now.
Yeah, we are. Exciting times.
It is. I'm so ready for it. I got to get you back on for a mock draft.
Absolutely, sitting in college classes, I used to get bored and start doing mock drafts, and I might do a couple sometimes, when I need a minute at work and I need to just mental break away from staring at computer screens, and I'll just all right, let's make 7 picks for the Bengals and see how this goes.
And my thought is the Ravens aren't making any moves right now anymore going towards the draft. It is sort of at that point where it's everyone's sort of settled, as you put it, and I think the draft is going to hit, the draft picks will be made, and then both our teams will be like, all right, here's the remaining holes. Grab.
I also think the Bengals are trying to save that money to work out deals with DJ Turner and Dax Hill. Because they're both on contract years and are two starters at corner. That's why corner is a very popular pick with Jermon McCoy or Mansour Delane at 10. If everybody else is gone, they're like, well, just take a corner because we'll need one because there's no way the Bengals are going to sign both their starters.
Yeah.
And I agree. I'd rather, DJ Turner, I think, is going to get paid probably, like, a lot. So we'll see what they get paid. We'll see probably next year because the Bengals don't get a year early on their deals, or else the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins deals wouldn't have been so arduous and would have been significantly cheaper. And, that's, again, front office malpractice.
It's just getting out ahead of. The contract years are coming up. You got to get out ahead of it.
You're gonna pay at least. Everybody knew they were gonna pay at least Burrow and Jamar. So it's like, why didn't you do that a year early? Keep those things cheaper. Keep them affordable. You're gonna reset the market, so reset the market a year early before it's in turn was already previously reset. It's just malpractice.
Well,
sorry.
No, you go first.
I was gonna change the topic if you want.
I was just gonna say the last thing, and it's sort of changing topic. Going on, like, Burrow has what? 3 more years left on contract?
Through 2029, I believe.
Okay, so he's got a few more years. If Lamar really gets a contract next year, it's going to reset the market. And then Burrow's going to demand even more.
Well, yeah, Burrow is getting paid less than, like, Trevor Lawrence and, like, a handful of other guys. It's like, yeah, they're all good quarterbacks, but it's like, would you rather pay, Dak Prescott or Joe Burrow $50 million at this point?
Joe Burrow. And with this, the salary cap is going to expand again next year.
Well, yeah.
They're just getting larger.
It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
The Eagles have it figured out where it's like you push money in the future so you have more flexibility. Like, that money, it's just how inflation works. The same, number is worth less because you've got more to work with down the line. But the Bengals do the opposite. They kind of front load their contract so they don't feel as bad if they need to, like, move off of stuff. Like, move off of contracts for players. And so, like, that's why it always feels like the Bengals have less to work with than other teams because they don't put stuff out into the future. And so then they're kind of constantly in this, like, quick turnaround of, like, well, the contract ran out. We got to go sign a new, safety. So it's weird. The Bengals' philosophy is kind of archaic in a lot of ways. And I think it's a result of still being owned by the Brown family because NFL teams are owned by two types of like people. There are people who own the team and thus make money from the team, and then there are people who make money and then thus own the team. So it's like the one is way more cash strapped, and there's a lot more. If you're multi-billionaire, you're not going to care to be like throw a couple million around. Well, it'll work. Like, I've got that at the bank. And there's another like, well, we got to make sure every million matters here because the millions we don't spend as millions, we make a profit, right? So it's they're cheap, not as cheap as people like to make them out. The Ravens didn't pay all their guys this year. Just saying.
Oh, we didn't have the money to pay everyone.
Well, funny how that works.
When Linderbaum was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take a $27 million a year contract," I was like, holy moly, we don't have the money to pay that.
Do I think the Raiders overpaid? Yes. Do I think it's still going to be a good move to support, a rising star in their run game who needed a better O-line, have a reliable starter for the quarterback rookie that they're going to draft to pair with their, offensive coordinator who's going to come in, and I like what they did every there. Do I think that was a bit much? Yes, but you know what? So be it. That team needed talent. Any other notable free agents left that you would like to mention? I'm not sure I've got anyone else in mind.
My biggest is still just the depth pick. It's honestly the biggest remaining ones that I love are all on the edge because that's where I look most for the Ravens. Yeah. And it's Davian Clowney, and then Cameron Jordan is still out there. Everyone forgot what he did on the Saints this past year.
He had a good year.
Am I saying he's going to be the best defensive? But if you're looking for just somebody who's coming in at edge and is going to perform okay, and just help the younger guys out for a year.
Don't expect double-digit sacks. Don't make him play every down. He'll be mildly productive.
Yeah.
Just don't overpay for that. It's simple. I think Keenan Allen is still a free agent that I can remember.
God, was.
I would feel like he would be a good contributor on the Ravens. Do I think he and Zay kind of overlap in a similar manner? Yes, but then, it's good to have weapons that do different things and have different talents, but redundancy is also important. I think he gets overshadowed a lot. Now, do I think Mekhi Lemon, do I think he would fit well with Zay Flowers on the roster? No, I think I'd prefer a lot of other receivers. But what you would pay to go get Keenan Allen just as, if Zay does go down. Or, it allows you to do a lot of, weird middle crossers using both. And, you can have, the parallel where the one receiver kind of follows and you kind of make the middle DB split which one he's going to go to. Anyways, but I think it'd be interesting on the Ravens.
We have the money to spend. We have $30 million left to spend. It's like you can.
Do you though? If you have to re-sign, if you restructure, I don't know why you restructured Lamar's contract if you're just going to turn around and pay him this year. But who are you going to spend that money on at this point?
$30 million.
I think it was to try and re-sign your guys, but if that didn't work out, do you just turn around and be like, all right, Lamar, we'll give you your money back,
We may. I think you still need another. The Ravens need in this free agency still another interior defensive lineman, and that's where they look at DJ Reader.
DJ Reader. Mm.
Yeah, he's still there.
Would like if he came back to the Bengals. Just saying, but the Bengals need. They got Jonathan Allen in free agency. Oh, wait, no, not Jonathan Allen. The guy from the Vikings.
Oh, on the defensive line because they can't remember his name.
Anyways, they picked up an old proven vet there that I like, probably a little bit more than you would have liked to pay for him. They've got BJ who's fine. TJ Slayton, I like as your nose tackle, extra guy. Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson look to be kind of wasted day 2 picks from a couple of years ago, but they're fine depth rotation guys. You just like to get more out of those premium picks, but no, I think they need a young. See, I like the interior D line where it's at for the Bengals now going into the draft.
Yeah.
If they pick up Caleb Banks in the 2nd round, because they have him falling, I don't think he makes it. But on the off chance he's sitting there at 41. Let's go get a talented, upside, young guy to go in there, and then boom, now your interior D-line feels pretty good.
Oh, yeah. There's actually one more free agent that I forgot about that's still out there that can command some money, but is that tight end? It's Brown. Well, not anymore.
Oh, David Njoku.
He's still out there.
Yeah. I don't think he fits with what the Bengals scheme does. I think if you wanted to move off of Mark Andrews and get a guy who can functionally replace him in most aspects, I would look at Njoku.
Oh, I know, but they're the same age.
Really?
They are the exact same age.
Wow, Mark Andrews feels like he's way older than David Njoku.
I know. You look at him and you're like, oh, you're an old. No, they came into the league. They are both the same age.
Well, Hayden Hurst retired, and that was your guys' first round pick so long ago.
Yeah.
It's the same time you got Mark Andrews. You could sign both. Running 12-man personnel is becoming more popular.
And that's what we've run that for so long.
I know.
So
more tight end seems to be a prevailing sentiment. I thought Chigoziem Okonkwo would have been another tight end for you guys, but him ending up with the Commanders, I think, is actually also a good opportunity for him there.
Interesting to see where this is going to pan out in the end. It's going to come after the draft. That's just where it's going to end. Because it's at the point where if we take Kenyon Sadiq, why would we take David Njoku?
Exactly.
You don't touch that.
Yeah, you don't want to sign him and then turn around and be like, well, man, we kind of want Kenyon Sadiq, but we kind of signed that guy and put us in a spot where kind of feels bad to take the best player available. Speaking of, I feel like this is a good time to start talking about some draft prospects for our teams. The one that I think has sparked the most discourse recently for Bengals fans is obviously the defense is like the biggest need. Everyone is like defense, defense, defense. It's like defense first, second, third, fourth round. Low-key, hot take. I would look the Bengals fourth round. I would almost expect that one to not be a defensive pick with how the draft boards are going, but we'll get to that. On the off chance, I find it unlikely. I think he goes at pick 4 to the Titans. But if Jeremiah Love makes it to pick 10, do the Bengals take him?
You have to.
I think the offense becomes unstoppable. It means you don't have to pay Chase Brown next year, he's probably going to be like a middling, like $7 million a year running back. That might even be a bit high. But that's probably what he's going to want, you know. But then you don't have to pay him. Now, are you paying a lot for the first round pick, being a draft pick, and it's like the 11th highest paid running back, like coming right off a rip or something like that? Yeah, but he's going to be very good, and he is a running back who can catch like a receiver, who can line up like a receiver, still run through, you know, the trenches. Like, he would fit so well in Cincinnati versus a lot of other places. He'll be good, but he could be truly great in Cincy.
I think if he falls outside the top 5, I'm going to be wondering what the heck happened to this.
But he has to get past the Commanders, who don't. They've got Jacory Krusky-Merritt, and they've got They've got Rashad White, and like it feels truly like they've got a bunch of guys who are like, yeah, we're here. No one there's like a stud.
That's true. I look at a point where you have to draft to need, but at some point the talent that is there outweighs the need, and Love is such a talent outweighing everything else. And if he falls that far, those teams that are picking, you know, I would even see the Chiefs being like, he fell to us? They just signed Kenneth Walker, but they would be like...
And the Saints signed the player formerly known as Travis Etienne. So it's now, it truly feels like, I think the absolute floor for him is the Commanders. I don't see him getting past the Commanders. I think the Titans is probably where he ends up. I don't see him going at 1 or 2 just for like how those teams are and what their needs are. 3, unless someone trades with the Cardinals to take him, which trading up for a running back feels even worse. But he's the kind of talent that would demand it in a year in which it's not a particularly talented class. So I could see the outcomes in which he's gone, but I find it unlikely that he's not taking it 4, and if he's not taking it 4, he's not taking it, I think it's 7, that's the Commanders. But if he makes it past 7, I don't think the Saints or Chiefs take him. And then it creates this opportunity for, you know, those teams might trade back and a team come up for him. It's just there's so many variables here. I doubt it gets there, but if it does, it would be fun.
Because I heard there was who on ESPN does the mock draft?
Mel Kiper, Field Yates.
It was Mel Kiper. Had the Ravens taken Jeremiah Love like 2 weeks ago. I was like, if he fell to us, like,
what is he on?
I know. I was like, no way he falls to us. But if he fell to us, Derrick Henry and Jeremiah Love in the same backfield with Lamar Jackson,
nasty.
Everyone would be. That would be the running back duo of the league. Of like, all right,
move over, Sonic and Knuckles.
I know.
You know, it's now Gunpowder and Bullet.
He should be. Even you said he's in your top 3. He's my top 1, actually.
He's your 1?
He's my 1. I am a massive fanboy of Jeremiah Love. But, like, he should not fall out of the top 10. In my opinion, he shouldn't fall out of the top 5. He is that good of a player.
But don't draft running back guy. It's an anomalous year, so weird things are going to happen. And if ever there was a year where you say, you know what, screw it, we're not gonna, the conventional ideas of not overpaying for unpremium positions, this is the year to throw it out the window if ever there was one.
Yeah.
Which, so be it.
We're very well having a linebacker possibly going 2nd in the draft.
Well, do you think Arvell, when they call Arvell Reese's name, are they going to say defensive end or linebacker? If they're taking up two, that's probably defensive end.
That's
but
true.
the guy played linebacker, so there's an argument to be made that if Arvell Reese goes, I think people are projecting him to be Michael Parsons. What if he's just a really good linebacker?
Yeah.
You know? Like, he doesn't have to be, like, he might not be a defensive end, and if that doesn't work out, how can you still be that upset when you have probably a top 12 linebacker, if they use him right?
Yeah. It's an off year. And
listen, sorry to cut you off. I've got to continue that point. The Eagles took Jahad Campbell last year in the first round.
Yeah.
And everything that he is, make it better, and that's
Arvell Reese.
That's Arvell Reese, yeah. He's better than Jahad Campbell in just about every way. And Jahad Campbell was a first-round pick linebacker last year who was drafted to be a backup.
And became a starter.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. This is going to be an interesting draft.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, again, we can predict every which way we think it will go. And when that draft board starts and it goes through, it's going to be like, didn't expect that. I think the first 2 picks are going to be the only ones that everyone's going to be like.
People are saying the draft starts at 2. I don't know. The Jets could be like, we don't really want a project. We want a more sure thing. Let's take David Bailey. Or they could be like, David Bailey kind of had some off-field concerns. You know, we don't really care about arm length. We're going to take the most productive guy from last year. Give us Reuben Bain. Or all the teams might be like, you know what? The short arms kind of scare us. We don't want to take Reuben Bain, and he's there at 10. Dude, there's
so many ways it can go.
It's kind of like this matrix of choices, and usually you kind of find like main strands to follow of like, okay, this team's going to take that guy, and if that happens, this team's going to take that guy. And it's like you kind of follow like the flow, and then like there's a few surprises. Throw it out this year, it's like, if you could make some serious money if you got, if you hit on like a 33% rate of being right.
Oh, yeah. It's just so, you know who the top talents are. They're going to go in the top 10, but I don't know what order.
Yeah. Oh. There are indications, but nothing concrete. I wouldn't expect Jeremiah Love to get, his value is 4 to 7. 4 or 7 are the most likely to me. But that's like the window for him in my mind. Okay. So you've got Jeremiah Love.
He would be my number 1 every single day.
Who's your 2 and 3?
I think I still got to go Arvell Reese.
Okay.
Just at second. That's just the talent, and
that's probably the chalk pick.
Watching his combine on top of that.
Ooh.
And it was just like, all right, we already knew, and then just go be the fastest linebacker in NFL history.
Underwear Olympics got that man right.
He's cool.
Him and Sonny, dude, it makes you lament that Ohio State lost this year. Because, like, how does that team lose with the powerhouses they had on offense and then the stars they had on defense? Look, they've got so many guys who are going to get drafted off of this team who are going to be first-round picks. Carnell Tate's a first-round pick. Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles. Caden McDonald's probably more of an early second-round pick this year. But in a down year, he might creep into the first. Jeremiah Love's going to be a first-round pick next year. You'd assume quarterback. Forgetting his name.
The other one coming off the board, who is he? It's not Shannon.
No, the Ohio State quarterback next year. Jeremiah Smith, and then...
what's his name? I should know this. I don't watch... You don't realize I don't watch much OSU football.
See, I'm a action guy.
I know who...
Hey, cut this one out. This is embarrassing.
I'm looking this up now.
I'm sure there's a couple receivers waiting in the wings that are going to be future draft picks, but Lorenzo Styles was a speedy corner who is going to be like a late day 3 guy.
Yeah. I'm going to say his name.
Yeah.
And you're going to not like it. Saying.
Oh, Julian Saying. What's the Minnesota head coach?
Oh,
Yeah.
we're here. All right.
Julian Sand. Yeah. No, like you project Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith to both be first round picks, and who knows? Ohio State just pumps out first round talent, so it's like there's probably like a defensive end who's going to be a first round pick next year too, just out of nowhere.
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell.
Uh,
KOC. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Right. So I went Jeremiah Love. I went Arvell Reese.
Who's your three?
I'm giving Proctor.
Caden Proctor.
I love him.
Wow. Okay, you are really high on him compared to consensus.
Yeah, I really do like him. I'm gonna get burned for that one. I feel like people are gonna all over the place.
I see if Monroe Freeling is gone early because he's kind of projected the Browns a lot higher than I think the Browns would want to take him. So I think the Browns at 6 could move down to 12, trade with the Cowboys. Cowboys could do something because Jerry. And then the Browns could take him at 12 because I don't see him going that high. But at 12 would be still kind of right on a little higher for Monroe Freeling. If he's gone, and then the Lions take Caden Proctor with their first round pick, I could see them liking him a lot.
I think
because he played left and right, so then they can keep Penei Sewell on the right and then try him out at left. And if they're like, man, that's not really work, switch him because I have faith in Sewell playing on the left, and then be like, well, let's see if Proctor works on the right, and it gives them a little bit of flexibility to customize to find the best use of both their tackles there. So I'd be interested in that.
I love.
What about Francis Magno? Are you not high on him? I know you like the Fano.
I do like Spencer Fano. Oh, I do like him a lot.
Seems like you're kind of high on the tackle class in a year in which a lot of people are kind of more.
I think
more
it's
middling on it.
I think Spencer Fano is the exception of the tackle class.
Okay.
He is going to be a top pick for a reason because he's the best tackle out there. And he can shift in and play guard as well as possibly center.
See, I saw one the other day where the Bengals took him at 10, and it was like, your O-line solved. You have an injury anywhere, he can play anywhere.
I love Swiss Army knives.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can move him across the line, and he has played at guard before. He's had some snaps, not as many at center, but why they projected is because he's massive. His wingspan is massive. I mean, his arms I think are 32 3/8. Yeah, so he's
got like a 6 more inch length of arm than Ruben Bain.
Yeah, so he's wide, he's big, and his times were amazing.
Yeah,
he had really good times.
And it wasn't like his
everything.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Measurables aren't everything, but he's had experience, and he was really good at tackle.
Yeah. Measurables aren't everything. Shamar Stewart's proved that. Fano was also productive as a tackle. He was a good tackling. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying consensus seems to say that this tackle class is kind of lower tier because there's not a true the one guy at the front there was there usually is Will Campbell last year. The year before that was the Chargers guy. I'm blanking on.
It gets hard to remember draft classes. 3 years back, there's so many names.
There's Penei Sewell in 2021. Yeah. There's usually the top tackle, then a tier, and then it kind of falls off. This year it feels like there's a lot more in the middle of the pack, and it's whatever flavor you want, you got to pick.
Yeah.
Hope you're right on your guy, but you got to pick your guy.
And it's what is your team looking for? Are you looking for a running, blocking tight end? Not tight end. Tackle or guard. It's even the center class doesn't even really begin until the third round.
No, there's so much depth O-line talent that it's I don't want the Bengals to go O-line early because I think they can go late. Chase Besantes is probably a third round guard who is gonna be I think probably an acceptably fine to good solid starting guard, and he's just projected in the third round. There are guys who you can find late on who I think you feel comfortable with like projecting them to do well. I don't think you take like a 6th round guy and be like, yep, you're our starter now. But I think you can take a 6th round guy and be like, we think this guy can be our center in 2 years, which is something the Bengals probably need to do because they don't have a backup center now.
Well, I've been looking at like I'm on the like I think the Ravens fixed enough on the defense and added in enough depth as of now that going into the draft that the first 3 round picks are heavily going to focus towards the offensive side of the ball. And in the 3rd round, I've been leaning more and more towards actually Logan Jones out of Iowa.
I love Logan Jones. 3rd round, yeah. I was saying it earlier. I'd expect a defensive pick in the 1st round for the Bengals, unless one of the 3 defensive ends fall. Expect a defensive DB from the Bengals in the 1st round. And round 2, I think they force the issue because that's what they do, and they take a linebacker because they have to. C.J. Allen from Georgia would be a name I'd like as like adequate value, but Jake Golday out of Cincinnati, UC, it would be a name. I would like him much better in the 3rd. I don't know if he'd quite get to the 3rd. I think he'd be really high of a pick at 41. But I think the Bengals are a team where they're like, this is our biggest need, so we're going to force it with our pick instead of like trying to trade down and get like adequate value. So we'll see. I expect a linebacker or D-line if like a Caleb Banks falls to him or the guy from Clemson I'm blanking on. So there's a couple D linemen, but probably DB linebacker. 3rd round is when it's like, all right, let's see what the Bengals do, because there could be a guard or center there. They're like, yep, that's going to be our guy in the future. Let's take him. Like Logan Jones, sure. Or there might be like Deny Dennis Sutman, like a falling defensive end, where like we like the guy. He's probably not going to be like a high end guy, but we like him. He'll get some reps. He'll start. Eventually, he might be, good on the team. So like 3rd round is very interesting for the Bengals with just how you can kind of expect like the main expectation for how the board should go, and then their needs and how that lines up. And then 4th round, I expect them to reach on a guy who, because they don't have a 5th round pick, reach on a guy. Navy's D-line Landon Robertson, they've been linked to. I think he's closer to a 5th or 6th round, like a late 5th, early 6th round pick guy. But I could see them being like, well, we want to get our guy, and this is our next pick until we think he's gone, so they'll take him. Or like a Oscar Delp, the super toolsy and traitsy tight end out of Georgia, who was like a top prospect out of high school, who kind of was like, on Georgia, and that's why he's there late. The Bengals love their Georgia guys.
Yeah. And actually, here's an interesting thing. Logan Jones is so eerily similar to Tom. Have you seen the comparables?
I've not compared them directly, those two, no.
Almost the exact same size, a little undersized for the center position, but both quick and shifty. Both played at Iowa. Both are like champion high school wrestlers. Like they have taken the exact same career path under the same coaches, both the same way, and I'm like, all right, if that trajectory continues,
we get Tyler Linderbaum a year early, a couple rounds later, like,
center fixed again.
It's like, let's trade Amon-Ra and draft Mekhi Lemon. It's like, well, you're just getting younger and doing the same thing and hopefully, not getting worse. But no, I think Logan Jones would be great. I could see the Ravens being like, well, we need to address center, and he's our guy, and we really like him, and he's top of the board. I could see you guys taking him in the 2nd round. How would you feel going like Kenyon Sadiq, Logan Jones, and then picking up like a Jeremy or Zachariah Branch in the 3rd round?
I have loved Zachariah Branch in the 3rd round. If it was not Logan Jones in the 3rd round, because that's like Logan Jones is still.
Well, if you probably jump one and get a faller on the other.
Yeah, we need a big body receiver. At some point in the draft, you need to bring in a big body receiver, because that's one thing that the Ravens have been lacking is a receiver that can both be used as a blocker as well as just the chuck it up. He's going to box him out and just come down with it.
Yeah,
and that's needed, but Jordan Tyson would fix that more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would love Zachariah Branch. I've been harping on him a lot because sure, he's a little undersized. He's sort of like what LeJontay Wester is for us, but instead of LeJontay, like he could take a step forward, but he's going to be the punt returner most likely. And DeAndre was like, yeah, he is that guy. Sure, he can take, but what truly is his role? Zachariah Branch has unreal body control in the air.
Oh, yeah. It's not so much his fault that the production he did a lot with what he was given. He just wasn't given a lot to work with.
Yeah.
This is unfortunate because there was a mock from ESPN where the Bengals took him in the second round, and I'm like, first of all, I like the fit as like the third receiver, but he'd have to be like a fourth round pick for that to happen for the Bengals. Like, the Bengals are not taking a receiver in the second round. Like, I don't expect the Bengals receiver till day 3. I'm gonna throw a name at you. If you've heard it, you'll get it for the Ravens. If not, this one's for the homework doers. Ted Hurst.
I've not heard that name yet.
Doesn't shock me. He's from like South Alabama, like Community Technical College. It's like not a FSB school or FBS school. Like D2 college football, he was the receiver. Crazy stats, crazy good, destroyed, dominated, like obviously lower talent, but like the measurables were great, like everything you'd want. Like, if this dude did what he did, but on like an SEC team, he would be in the conversation with the big 3 guys. Now, higher, much more learning curve. He's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to go from D2 college to NFL.
Oh, yeah.
But you can look at this guy and be like, if he goes in the 5th round, I could see him being like a Puka Nacua again. Just being like, 5th round guy comes out, is a stud. He hits the ground, like it starts going, right? I don't know how well. I think he'd fit well with the Ravens, but I think name to look into, Ted Hurst.
I will look into the other one that I've been looking late that I really, really like, Tanner Koziel.
Who?
Tanner Koziel. He's out of Texas. The tight end. He's one that I look at in later rounds and I'm like,
You want a deep tight end pool? Let me hit you with a John Michael Gillenthorpe, I think is what it is. Tight end out of Western Michigan. Oh, or is it Gyllenhaal? It might be John Michael Gyllenhaal.
I remember this person.
Deep pool. You'll get to like your 6th or 7th round pick in a mock draft, and he's there, and it's like absolutely. Like listen. I'm not saying he's gonna come in and take Mark Andrews' lunch, but he might be a guy you bring in and like 2.5 years down the line, like, okay, we can let Mark Andrews go because this guy's become something.
All I remember is what he did to Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he torched us.
Yeah. Stupid going to 3 MAC championships in a row.
And we won the one.
1-1, but the last 2 have been absolutely like, what are we doing here?
Dude, I was in Brick for the one last year, and then like everyone was so excited because we got a field goal on the first drive, and then we didn't score again in the game, and it was just so deflating. Everyone was there like, oh.
Well, because that was like the definition of looking at what Miami does is he plays so conservatively. Our head coach does.
We'll save this for the college football podcast.
Yeah. It's going down a whole new rabbit hole. I want him gone. That's the last thing I'll say on it. But
no, like there is that like end of 5th, early 6th round that it's like there's some guys there that I kind of ride with.
Malachi Lawrence.
Malachi Lawrence, I think, is a late 2nd round pick.
You have him going that high.
I would not, dude. I'm not saying, like, I don't think that's a crazy take.
I love him.
I love Malachi Lawrence, too. I'd love if the Bengals got him in the 3rd round.
Like,
I think he is the definition of, like, a Howie Roseman, like, random small school edge rusher that he's going to take and, like, he's going to move down and take at the end of the 2nd round. Like, tell me he screams Jalix Hunt to me.
Oh boy! And he's so quick. Off the edge, he's going to be a pass rusher.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
100% for certain. I don't trust him in the run defense as much.
No.
But
He's like kind of a stouter version of Mike Greene.
I would even say line him up a little further on the outside and bring him out just a little, and he has the speed where he could cut around the corner and get behind the tackle quick enough and just.
Dude, I do not have to sell me.
I love him.
No,
I know it's preaching to the choir. But
well,
it's like,
you know,
yeah, it's
that's what they're here for.
I love him. Who's the other late one I like is what's his name? Western Michigan's edge that went off.
Oh, you have him as? Do you have him high?
I don't have him high. I think he's a 5th round pick.
Okay.
But I really do think like at the end of the day he's not going to be like the best edge out there, but he'll be a rotational piece that's like if you're looking for you're in the 5th round and you're looking for somebody that next year, you know, we may need to take a higher edge and somebody, but we want somebody to rotate behind.
Yeah.
Shoot
no,
him.
I like him too. The edge from Miami is actually looking to be like a UDFA, but quality guy. So
I thought our linebacker last year would be drafted and he wasn't drafted.
No, hey, listen, man, Miami, you gotta be special. Like our receiver this year that's moved to a different school, like our basketball team.
I miss you, Perry. I mean, that basketball team is dead now. Gosh, darn,
Yeah.
everyone left.
Oh, dude, it was good though. It was good. I'll cherish this. Yeah, no, there's tight end. The draft class is deep, but I just don't expect a lot of those names to be instant impact guys if it's not, you know, the first two, Kenyon Sadiq and then Eli Stowers.
Yeah. It'll take time.
Sorry.
No, you go first.
No.
I was just saying it was going to take time because it's like you look at them, they have the measurables there. It's just the coaching. Can you coach them into what? Because as much as I say like, yeah, they have measurables, I've seen teams ruin players. Insert Justin Fields on the Bears. The Bears could not develop him worth anything.
No. Yeah. I'm not a Justin Fields truther. I still think he's might have something left in the tank, but I don't know. It's so hard to believe in him. Has he not had a good spot? We'll see how he does the first 3 weeks when Mahomes is out, and if he does something, okay. Just don't drop him in Dynasty yet, is what I'm saying.
If he can get productive there, some other team will pick him up and give him a shot. He just went from the Bears to the Jets and the Steelers, which are 3 offenses that do not work functionally, except now the Bears, but that's for a different reason.
Post Fields.
Yeah.
See, I always thought it was interesting that Fields would have been the ideal backup for Jalen Hurts or Lamar.
Oh.
Wouldn't he be just the downgraded version of being able to run that offense the same?
Yeah, but I think the thing is he's still enough people still believe he's got enough in the tank that it's are you willing to pay the extra money to have him sit at backup just in case? He
would be an expensive backup just because I do agree there's still some people in the league that think that he might have a little juice left.
Which it may be his life now. He just gets rotated around the league and he is the pre whatever that word is again on my
preeminent.
Yeah.
Preeminent?
Yeah, preeminent. just you're looking for the guy that'll hold you over for a year.
He's your Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Right there. Yeah. But you know what? That's not a bad way to spend your career.
Dude,
you'll
he's
make
still
enough money.
making more money than I'm gonna make in a lifetime. It is what it is. No, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting draft. Is there any other big names you want to shout out of guys who you're I don't think it'll line up for our team to get, but I'd love to end up snagging?
I've been a big fan of Chris Bell in the second round.
Ooh, Chris Bell.
I don't think that happens. I look at him. I love the size on him. I love what he could do for the team. I don't see a way in any Ravens draft that he is the pickup in the second round.
You think they'd take him in the third, though? If he's there in the third?
If he's there in the third and it's a...
See, I could see the Ravens going in the draft, like tight end and then O-line receiver in your first 3 rounds.
If he's there,
if you get sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No.
If you Kenyon Sadiq to fall to you.
if he's there in the 3rd round, it's going to be a debate between, I feel like, Zachariah Branch and Chris Bell. That's a harder debate. Well,
pick one. You can't say, man, it'd be a hard pick.
It'd be a harder debate because I love how Zachariah Branch can take in the air and make the deep catches. But if I'm looking at what the Ravens need first in primary right now, it is an X-factor, big body receiver that can also be used in the blocking game because we just don't have the size for that right now. And Chris Bell is that. And so you have to take Chris Bell.
Isn't he recovering from an ACL?
He is. I'm willing to take the swing.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, that would be the reason why he's there, and it's a conversation is because teams pass on him because of the ACL. But I think him late 2nd, early 3rd is, like, that's kind of where I think he would go.
And that's like, because Jordan Tyson is also being like, if he falls, it's because of injury. And if we're taking on Jordan Tyson, it's like, well, he has the injury conversation. You're right there in the same boat again.
I don't think you guys take Jordan Tyson then a receiver in the 3rd.
No, if we take Jordan Tyson, it's going to be either guard or if Eli Stowers falls.
I would not expect him to get past the Broncos 2nd round pick. If you want him, it's got to be before that one.
I know. You'd have to trade up, but it's like, that feels like a Ravens pick right there. Like,
it feels like a Broncos pick to
me. I know. I don't expect him to make it there. I mean, I think in all the mock drafts I've ever run while sitting there bored, he's made it to that pick twice. And that's in hundreds of mock drafts. That's like, the chances aren't really there.
No, like, there's always a chance. We'll see. I think he tested way too well, and it was way too productive for him to sniff the 3rd round.
Is there anyone you want to shout out that you're like, that's the person I'm looking at, but probably won't be there? And we've heard 1st round, so like,
a
little later.
A little more into the day 2. Round 3, Jake Golday is like great pick to me. Linebacker from UC for the Bengals, just because, like, but I just don't think they wait to address linebacker till the 3rd round, and like I think they jump it at round 2, and if they do, like, it would probably be more of a Jacob Rodriguez linebacker. He's interesting. I don't know if he fits well with the Bengals scheme, with what they're wanting from a middle linebacker, because he's more of like a hit-the-hole blitz, and Al Golden kind of wants a more versatile guy, and that's why I think Sonny Styles would be nuts for the Bengals, but not going to happen. I'm trying to think. Some D-line guys. Big Juice in the 3rd round. Dominique Citrus out of Syracuse or Illinois. I don't remember. It's Syracuse. Him in the 3rd round as like a pass rush defensive interior guy I think would be fun. And then the Godfather, Dante Corleone. UC D lineman. Probably should have went out last year and got drafted higher than this year. Is probably more of a 4th round guy. But he's more nose tackly. But I think the Bengals are looking for more pass rush juice.
Yeah.
So I think Big Citrus would be a fun one in the 3rd, not the 2nd. Caleb Banks would have to fall to the 2nd. There's the Clemson D lineman, not TJ Parker. That's the edge. It's the interior D lineman.
Peter Woods.
Peter Woods, yes. Peter Woods would be fun at D line. In the 2nd, of course. I think, truthfully, though, our 4th round pick is going to be Landon Robertson out of the Navy, and that's kind of my expectation, just because it's a very Bengalsy, like, we're gonna reach on a guy we really like because we don't have a pick that's more adequate value to take. So,
yeah.
I think there's a couple safeties. Obviously, there's the big 3. So Caleb Downs, Would love if he went there, but if he's not, there's Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. I think he is a early first round pick, like early teens. Like if Caleb Downs is gone and the Bengals are like, we need safety, which I doubt it with the Kyle Duggar and Brian Cook acquisition. I think there is a world in which they could trade down and take him. I think he would be a stud on the Vikings though. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, another one of those Toledo DBs that's a stud. I expect him to be. Some guys have him in the first round. I think Dylan Thieneman would have to be taken ahead of the Vikings, and then the Vikings take him. But I think he might slip into the second. He's another great safety, and then those are kind of like the safeties to really be looking at. There's a bunch of linebackers I like Josiah Trotter out of Missouri is a guy I'd be looking at in like the third, maybe fourth. There's a Elam's Orem or the TCU linebacker as like a fifth round pick might be a guy we're thinking about. I said Kyle Lewis.
Yeah.
He's probably very scheme specific, so I don't think he'd fit on the Bengals, but like Seattle, Baltimore, the really creative defensive minds would love him. The uncreative defensive minds are going to misuse him. So he's going to be fun to see where he ends up. Defensive edge, I said Malachi Lawrence. Denai Dennis Sutton's a guy I wouldn't mind in the third. He's probably more of your Bengals prototypical edge rusher. Not very productive, very traitsy, got the measurables, athletic. Linebacker safety. Corner's a fun one this year because there's just like so much. Like obviously the big two I've mentioned multiple points in Mansour Delane and Jermod McCoy being two very interesting ones. You also got Avion Terrell, he's gonna, and Brandon Sisse as like your later first kind of questionable guys at corner. They're gonna be a little more specific on where you use them, just because their sizes are gonna make them like predicated to be an outside corners, but only in systems that are like very that let like very intuitive corners be smart. So like the Rams would be a great Avion Terrell spot, but that's not likely anymore. Keontae Scott is a corner that's going to be like a nickel corner who I think will be fun. Probably late second, probably closer to a early third round pick kind of guy. Chris Jones out of San Diego State is a name you should learn if you don't know it. He's going to be a second round corner, I think. He'll be fun. He might be one that we look back and be like, man, he there were guys taken ahead of him that were worse, Talking about a really deep corner, Hazik Masses out of Cal, I think could be interesting. He's a guy who I could see as like a fifth round corner who ends up being like productive. I don't hate him. He's like a depth corner I wouldn't mind taking a shot on for teams. And then I think that's through most of the defense. Offense, we've kind of talked about receiver.
Yeah.
Cyrus Allen out of UC is a guy who I think is going to be like a sixth round pick that has a shot at like making a team, depending on if he's really given a shot in like training camp and if he's able to succeed with it. We'll see. We've kind of been through most of the receivers. I gave you, Ted Hurst is one I really like as like a real depth, like deep ball knower wide receiver. And then tight end, we kind of went through some of the tight ends. Max Clare, how do you feel about him out of Ohio State? Because I know some guys really like him. He's projected to go into the third-ish. He was really productive and a really good pass catcher when he was on, it was Purdue last year. And then it looks like he bulked up, added some weight, and then was on a very loaded and stacked Ohio State team and was more of a blocker. So it's like he's shown he can be a pass catcher and a blocker, but it seems like you got to make a pick.
I'd rather see him shed the weight and be a pass catcher.
Okay.
That's where I'd rather see him, especially if the Ravens swing that way. Like, what we need is a pass catcher, and we don't need so much another blocker at this moment. Mark Andrews is adequate enough at it. We brought in Durham Smythe off the Bears, who is solely a blocker. Do not pass him the ball.
The Bears did they release Cole Kmet? I don't think they did.
No.
They've got Colston Loveland, so I expect him to hit free agency next year. I think Cole Kmet on the Ravens would be filthy.
Depends who we take this year.
Yeah, if you get a tight end. Eli Rareden's another deep tight end that, depending on where he goes, could be fun. Let's talk running back. Running back this year is not good. Don't worry about it.
I don't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah,
it's like Jeremiah Love, and there you go.
There's like an Emmett Johnson and Jadarian Price who might be interesting on where they go. Don't worry about those guys unless you're in a dynasty fantasy football league. And
if you wanted running back, the time was last year.
If you wanted a running back, yes, should have drafted one last year or gone out to free agency this year. Wide receiver, tight end, running back. So it looks like a quarterback is not worth talking past, first pick in my opinion. I do think Garrett Nussmeier could be fun depending on where he lands, just because I don't think it was really his fault that he got injured and the team collapsed around him.
No.
So I think he could be fun depending on if he lands somewhere interesting as like a later guy, like a fourth round guy, like to the Steelers, to the Rams.
I think the Steelers would ruin him.
Probably, but definitely Rams, Vikings. I'd take a flyer on him being an heir apparent and a good landing spot maybe. And then that'll leave O-line, tackles. It's kind of take your pick of one of the early guys,
or wait till late.
Yeah, there's some later guys. I'm not the biggest fan of this tackle class. I think there's a lot of medium and very little. I think there's more opportunity for a pick to be a bust than a boom.
Yeah,
kind of pick on these. Monroe Freeling, I think is just intriguing. I'm not sure if he's good. He's gotta take some steps and develop pretty quick, and he's the only left tackle in the class, so he'll be fun to see where he lands. Lions, Browns are kind of the big ones for him. Feel free to interject if you have anything.
I feel like this draft class, if I'm going to call it anything, once you get past the top ones, it's the draft of singles. Yeah. You're hitting singles if we're throwing baseball in this. You're not going much further than that. But singles are needed. You even put it, you got to eat your vegetables and meat before you have dessert.
It's a meat and vegetables kind of draft class.
And honestly, if I also look at it this way too, that I would favor some of the defensive tackles in this over actually some of the offensive linemen, because when I look at it, I feel like it's harder to find a gem at defensive tackle than it is to find a serviceable lineman. Okay, we can service you. We can make you work, versus trying to find a defensive lineman because how you operate defenses now is coming in waves on the defense. You come in waves on the defensive line between the edge and the tackles, and you have to constantly have fresh legs out there, and I feel like I can find a more serviceable guard later on than you can find what will be a gem. And that's also because I feel like this defensive tackle class sort of falls apart later on.
There's Christian Miller and once you get past day 2, don't expect to grab a impactful D line.
It's and you can find
there's a Xavier Harris maybe, but
it's not going much further than that. And you look at the guards, sure, none of them are going to be amazing, Some of them may be starters coming in here. I mean, besides the top ones, but some of them may be starters or like rotation guys, depending on what you need in there. And that's more serviceable than what you'll get out of a chunk of the defensive tackle.
Yeah, you can take a Armand Reed in the 6th probably, and he might become a serviceable. He'll at least be a fine depth guard. He might end up being a startable guard. You're not gonna get a startable 6th-round D lineman with the same like success rate.
No, you're taking a swing and praying. I'm swinging low and I'm praying I make contact and it goes somewhere that way.
Yeah,
I think that's about most of the draft class.
Yeah.
The only other thing that's like the Ravens are in the market for is actually punter.
Oh, I don't look at special teams, to be honest with you.
And I'm like, I don't pay much attention to punter because it's punter.
Well, the Bengals have their guys locked, and they'll take like a 5th-round special teamer, so we're well situated on that front.
I know Georgia has the punter that we've been connected to a little. That's like, well, maybe he will be that.
With one of your 3 5th-round picks, yeah.
Yeah, we have enough. We did it last year with our kicker.
See, special teams, people think they just come out and they're good. Special teams takes time to develop. Like, way longer timelines than people expect.
And they also stay healthier for longer.
Yeah.
Because you can make a kicker last well into their 30s.
Hey, the Bengals, a couple years ago got rid of their long snapper. Now we have Cal Adamitis.
Who was your previous one?
Oh, I don't remember his name, but he was there for like a decade. Yeah, long snapper's like the best job in the NFL. You get paid like $180,000 or something, and you play like a couple snaps, and you just stay in decent shape.
You get that very nice, not only contract, but you get health insurance, and then you stay long enough that you actually get a pension from the NFL, which is probably more than what your contract was.
Oh no, long snappers get the part of their compensation is the benefits package, not the like relatively insignificant salary compared to most of their teammates.
That's an easy job. Well, okay, unless you muck it up.
See, a good long snapper you'll never know.
Yeah. Well, they'll never leave that team. That's I forgot the other one position the Ravens might need. Well, we may drift away from it. Fullback.
Well, see, here's my thoughts on the matter. Fullback, as a position, you don't draft fullback, you just draft chunky running backs or tight ends. Like, you just get guys to play your fullback. You don't draft fullback.
That's true. I'm going to be missing the Patrick Ricard train in the backfield that was 30 pounds of human mass at 6'8", I believe he was. Just you had a lineman in the backfield that was given full permission to run 5 or more yards at somebody and just full tilt go, get out of my way.
Oh, dude, fullback. Triple option?
Well, and did you see how much he got paid by the Giants? Because the Giants picked him up.
It was like a couple million, right?
8.3 a year. At fullback.
Dude, yeah. Like, Kyle Juszczyk, pay him because he, the difference he makes is tangible, but just about every fullback is easily replaceable, in my opinion.
And I think we'll drift away from it. And we're not going to draft that.
Go find a UDFA.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you can find some big old college kid to come in and start doing that for you.
And I mean, we just use them as blockers anyways. That's all we do with them.
Ready. I think the last thing we got to go over is predictions for the AFC North. Let's finish with where we started. AFC North, how we think each team's going to do.
Last, I think we both agree.
Browns, for sure. 3-15?
I had them 3-15. Oh, are we moving to the 18-game schedule?
Is it this year?
I didn't know if it was this year or next year that we moved to.
It might be next year. They're winning 3 games. That's
I have them at 2.
Oh, you know what? Let me be thorough. Let me pull up their schedule.
Who are they? Who are they? Because I know we're matched up. We got the Bucks on our schedule again this year. We got the South from the NFC. So you got Panthers, you got Bucks, you got all of them coming in, and then who did we get matched up with?
Okay, let's see.
Out of the West.
The Browns played New Orleans, Baltimore twice, Cincy twice, Pittsburgh twice, Houston, Colts, Atlanta, Carolina, Jacksonville, Tampa, Tennessee, Vegas, Giants, Jets. So let's see. Maybe the Jets, maybe the not Giants, maybe the Titans. Probably the Jets, maybe the Titans. Maybe Atlanta or one of the other NFC South teams, but I think they could. Maybe Atlanta if their quarterback situation implodes.
I think the Panthers are going to be better than what people let on.
Oh, I think the Panthers are. I think the Panthers are going to win the NFC South.
It's up for grabs right now. They were close to it last year already.
I've got the Panthers taking the NFC South this year.
That's
pre-NFL draft.
I don't think the Browns should have any clear. We just named what 3 there that they possibly
Jets,
could touch?
Tennessee, maybe Atlanta. I think they'll split with Pittsburgh and then maybe New Orleans.
So at most their ceiling is what 4 or 5 now.
I feel 3. Okay, it's 17. Yeah, 3 and 14 for the Browns. That's what I'm going with.
All right, 3 and 14. I'm gonna stay at 2 and 50. I don't see them going much higher than that. And Browns fans are gonna rip all over me, but I'm sorry, y'all are the baby brothers of the AFC North.
You're the youngest one at the table.
Shouldn't have let Baker Mayfield walk. Then we'd be talking differently right now.
Okay, so this is the Steelers. I think we can agree they're next.
Yeah.
Ravens twice, Cincy twice, Browns twice. Jacksonville, Saints, Houston, Colts, Atlanta, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, New England, Philly, Denver. So Tennessee, maybe. I could see them taking a NFC South game. I could see them taking a mid Colts team.
I would have them beat.
I'd have them take the Saints most likely. Saints, Colts, one of the NFC South teams, Tennessee. So 4, and then I'm going to give them at least a Browns game, so 5, and then I feel like they're going to snipe either the Bengals or Ravens one game.
They're going to play close.
Give me 6 and 11 Steelers.
I think I'm going to go 1 higher than you, and I'm going to go 7 and 10 for the fact that I think their defense is the remnants of it are going to do something in 1 or 2 games that the defense holds them together, like what happened in the Texans game, where the defense did enough to hold them in it.
You know what? You sold me. 7 and 10 Steelers.
Next year, when that defense falls apart in every which way after, and all they leave, it will be a dumpster fire. They will have to rebuild.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. We'll do the Ravens first, then we'll do the Bengals, and then we'll see how we go on that one. So the Ravens play the Falcons, Cincy, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Tennessee, New Orleans, Tampa, Carolina, Cincy, Cleveland, Houston, Indy, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Buffalo, Dallas. So I have them beating Atlanta.
We should theoretically beat Atlanta. I'm
going to have you guys split with Cincy.
I would have a split.
Beat the Browns, beat Pittsburgh. I'm going to have you lose to Jacksonville.
I think that's one of our home games. So I say just because it's home, I feel like
beat Tennessee.
We could.
Beat New Orleans. I'm going to have you get
I have us losing
split with Carolina and Tampa Bay. So you're at 6. Then you beat Cincy. You beat Cleveland. Houston, I feel like it's going to be a tough matchup. But Indy, Pittsburgh, and then win 1 of Chargers, Buffalo, and Dallas. Okay.
I feel like if Dallas does normal Jerry theatrics and Dak Prescott does Dak Prescott things, it should be. It's a Rio game as well.
Oh,
We're in Rio for that game.
give me.
That's an out of country. And it's first time ever it'll be in Rio. I take us over the Cowboys. I also
Okay, I'm teetering between 11-6 and 12-5. You know what? I'm gonna go 11-6. I think there's some margins for error that are there this year that I don't think would be expected in years prior.
I think if Lamar stays healthy, I continue to roll off the train of he's only ever lost to 2 NFC teams in his entire career. Screw you, Eagles and Giants. You guys know what you did. Giants by you remember Ryan. He is listening to this probably later on and it's going to be like in
Shout
the
out
comments. Look what we did to Lamar. I think
This is gonna have to be like 3 episodes, by the way.
oh, I know. It's going to be so long. We own NFC teams by a margin, and it's crazy how many NFC teams we've beat. But I think I think the Bills whoop us. We're going to Buffalo again. That's a loss. We don't do well in Buffalo. I'm going to join you, actually, at 11. I don't see us going 12. It's going to be a new team. There's going to be a learning curve at the start of the season. It's going to be like 11-6. And if we can't gel it together, it's going to be another 9-8 season.
Alrighty, Bengals. I'll give you their schedule in order. Atlanta, Baltimore. It's at Atlanta, at Baltimore, at Carolina, versus Baltimore, versus Cleveland, versus Pittsburgh, versus Jacksonville, versus it doesn't. Oh no, it does have it. Sorry. So versus Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Tennessee, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, at Cleveland, at Houston, at Indy, at Pittsburgh, versus Kansas City, at Miami, at Washington.
I don't like that at Houston.
No, I don't either.
We play at Houston as well. That's a game I think we lose. But that at Houston, I might have to tip that, especially with how that defense is.
It's a great defense.
If there's one that can do their best to contain Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in that combo, that team will do it.
So here are my thoughts. I think they should beat Atlanta. First game.
Everyone should be Atlanta.
I think they should lose their second game to the Ravens because they're slow, but then they get good. Right? That's how the Bengals go. Carolina is a really tough one at Carolina.
Is it and that's the season where we're in early fall. Is it a rain game? Rain game. It's a running game.
I'm gonna and so it's Atlanta at Ravens at Carolina at home against the Ravens. I'm gonna have them go 2-2 through their first 4.
Ooh.
A split with the Ravens and beat Atlanta but lose to Carolina through the first 4.
Okay.
Probably pretty chalky, but I think that's fair. Then at home Cleveland is 5. I think that should be a win. At home Pittsburgh, I think that should be a win. I think they'll choke a game against Jacksonville. I think they should beat Tennessee. I think they should beat New Orleans. I think they'll choke a game against Tampa Bay. I think they'll beat Houston at Houston. Or not Houston, Cleveland. Then probably lose to Houston, beat the Colts. I think the Colts will implode without having a quarterback for half the year. And then by the end of the year, they're just not as competitive.
They got rid of their best receiver.
I think they should beat Pittsburgh. The Chiefs are interesting. We'll come back to the Chiefs. I think they should beat Miami. And then Washington as their last game. They're always hot down the stretch. This should be a game in which the Bengals are always playing to get in, and those are tight games. I'll take the Bengals to win that game.
Okay.
So one game against the Chiefs, third to last game, Assuming Burrow's healthy, caveat, assuming Burrow's healthy, I believe that would put us at choosing between 11 and 12 wins for the Bengals, depending on how that Chiefs game goes.
Is it at Kansas City?
No.
Oh.
No.
I was about to say, if it's at Kansas City, I gotta throw that one towards because that's...
It's a home game. Their DBs are terrible. You know what? I've sold myself. I think we beat the Chiefs at home this year because we're just going to throw it all over them because they have no DBs.
Okay.
Give me 12-5 Cincy. Have them losing to Houston, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Carolina, and the Ravens.
So we split. I think, and this is...
See, those two Ravens games in the first 4 weeks of the season is bad for the Bengals.
I'm looking at that. I didn't realize it was us two, like, back-to-back and that quick. And it's like, if you don't figure it out real quick, we could punish you a little because of that.
I agree.
And that's...
And that's why I got us splitting. Because the first one's at the Ravens and the second one's at home. So week 4's at home. So I think that'll give them a little bit of, they lost the first one, let's get our get back, you know? Well, you can disagree with me.
I have a little hot take here, and the last time that Lamar played the Bengals in warm weather in fall at Cincinnati, you know what he did? A certain linebacker missed a tackle for Isaiah Likely to cut left in the end zone and Lamar to stiff arm him to the ground and go, whoop.
I don't believe that was a linebacker. I believe that was Sam Hubbard. And
it was Sam Hubbard,
and
yeah.
he was our defensive end, yes.
Yeah.
He has since retired. His last play as a defensive end was catching a touchdown pass, by the way. Fun fact.
Insane.
Yeah. From Burrow, so how many guys can say that? All right, 11-6 Bengals or 12-5 Bengals? Because I think you're probably close with me on that.
I'm close with you.
This
is both assuming that both our quarterbacks stay healthy.
Yes. Watch the Steelers go 9-8 and win the division with Lamar and Burrow both dying.
If they do that, I'm going to be so angry because that means they will have both sniped both of us in one game and split with both of us.
And then I think they split with the Browns.
I think this should be the start of their downslide and that they theoretically should not. I'm going to tie you up with the Ravens at 11-6, and it's going to come down to a tiebreaker between us. And I actually, you know what, I'm going to renege earlier. I think it'll be 11-6 for us. We will take 2 against you to win the division by just winning against you.
Okay.
And we will win the internal division. We will move on because of that.
All right. I'm gonna take 12-5 Bengals, and maybe I should take 11-6 Bengals to be safe, and have them split and the Bengals win the division. But I'm gonna obviously we're gonna root for our own team. So imagine that. So I'm gonna give me 12-5 Bengals. Yeah.
I know.
I'll put like $5 on it this year.
I know our answers may be a little chalky when it comes to it, but
I like the margin of error on that. I think as long as the Bengals stay healthy, I think most of the teams they play this year they should beat. And then the conditions on some of the better teams favor the Bengals for most of them. I think the only real challenge for the Bengals' schedule is the fact that they have to play, it depends. Maybe the Commanders implode and that last game's decent odds. But the Chiefs and Commanders in the last 3, and then the Ravens twice in the first 4. Other than that, I think it's mostly smooth sailing. There's a couple NFC South games that I think are gonna be not go the Bengals' way just because those teams are kind of underdog and scrappy.
Yeah.
And I think the Bengals will choke a couple there, and also the AFC South. I think they'll lose one to Jacksonville probably.
Jacksonville is going to hunt all of our numbers because
they're good but then they lost some pieces and they're doing some weird stuff. Did you hear Travis Hunter's going to be just a corner now? And that might not be verified, but I heard that earlier today.
I didn't hear that. That would be an interesting take. I think it depends. Primarily, can both teams stay healthy? And when it's obvious, if both teams stay healthy, it should be the Bengals and the Ravens, and they will be. Our two games should be shootouts.
First 4 games of the season will have impact on how this season goes.
And it could very well be if we both end with an above 11 win record, both teams should be in the playoffs regardless.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think it would be
see
well,
here.
one
Okay,
will be the
all right.
fourth, the other.
AFC teams you have going. I think out of the East, it's the Bills. I wonder if the Patriots are able to run it back again, this time with a legitimate schedule. So let me go through. Definitely the Bills. I think give me definitely the Chargers. I think the Broncos wild card spot. Give me the North. I'm going to take the Bengals for now, just following my picks. No offense to the Ravens people. And then AFC South, give me Houston and Jacksonville. And then I guess that does leave room for one more. I guess it's going to come down to me. Can the AFC West send a third? So it's going to be Chiefs, Patriots, and then the second AFC North team are going to be hunting for that last spot in. I think the Patriots lose a couple more games this year than they did last year. Don't squeak in. I think the Chiefs just don't have enough momentum early on from when they don't have Mahomes, because I'm projecting them to not have Mahomes for like the first month or so. I don't think the Raiders are going to be a truly competitive team this year. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to overperform. I think Kirko is going to split 3-3 games through the first 6 weeks, and they're going to be like, all right, Fernando, go out there, and then Fernando's going to have a learning curve, and we'll see how that goes. But I think it's going to come down to Jacksonville's probably taking the AFC South spot in my mind. Not the Titans, not yet, and the Colts probably not with the half-dead quarterback this year.
No.
So then it's going to be, can C.J. Stroud compete, and can that defense carry the Texans over the Ravens, in my mind?
They need to have a healthy O-line. They need to not just have, they need to actually build an O-line, because their O-line is atrocious. And can C.J. Stroud, I'm sorry, but look at what he did in that last game against the Steelers and how many picks he threw and fumbles he had. Yeah. If he looks like that again, it will be on the Texans' defense to carry them the whole way, and that will not end well.
Yeah.
That's the one problem of if the Texans have to rely on their defense and they can't score, then that shifts where the AFC South lines up. I have 2 bold takes though, and Bills fans are gonna hate me.
You don't have the Bills going to the playoffs?
I don't have them touching the playoffs this year.
Oh. See, I know a lot of Bills fans wanted Sean McDermott gone. If you would have asked them before he came to town if they would have just liked to have made the playoffs after not going for 11 years, I think they would have killed people for it. So I don't know if getting rid of him was the right move, point blank. I have my reservations. Not saying it wasn't. Sometimes it's the right time, but still not a great decision. So we'll see on that front, but I don't expect them to be much worse. I expect them to crush the Jets and crush the Dolphins, and the Patriots to be not as good as they were last year. I think the Patriots drastically overachieved all the way to the Super Bowl and then got stomped.
Oh, yeah. I look at it and I'm like, why I say that is because, one, I look at the Patriots and how they actually played against the Bills, and they actually threw punches with the Bills and went toe-to-toe with them. On both occasions, they went toe-to-toe with them. I look at the Bills as an organization, though. I don't like their owner anymore or their GM. because of what they did to Sean McDermott. McDermott straight up was like, you didn't give me the pieces to win, and really look at what they gave Josh Allen at wide receiver and what they did with some of the team moves this past year, and it was really like, if you were really wanting to win a Super Bowl, you wouldn't have done that to Sean McDermott. You would have given Allen and the team the pieces they needed to go out and win, and I think who they hired at head coach was on the condition is that, like, you don't complain with who we give you who we give you, and you have to make it work, and if that's their recipe for success again, they're going to be disappointed again.
Yeah, you know what? That's a valid argument, and I don't disagree with a whole lot of it. I just think Josh Allen's going to will them to win some extra games.
He will carry that team on his back. I think I got them going 10-7.
And that's not enough?
I think if the Ravens go 11-7, we're in over a wild card spot. 11-6, we're in over a wild card spot.
You know, hey, all right.
And if they go 10-7 and the Patriots perform worse than them, the Patriots aren't it.
Yeah.
They're
I'm expecting the AFC East to be down, the AFC West to be up, the AFC South to be about the same, and the AFC North to be about the same. But the AFC North was like down last year, so there's a world if the Chiefs come out and they heat up, that the AFC West sends 3 teams to playoffs.
It is true.
Because the Chargers have to be there in my mind, short of... All of these are contingent on not drastic, like, injuries. I see the Broncos definitely being competitive and punching their ticket. And then that means the Chiefs just need to, like... they have to prey upon, you know, the bad teams they play against.
And they have an easier schedule this year. They ended 3rd in the division.
Yeah.
They do, and signing... The Seahawks allowing Kenneth Walker to sign with the Chiefs was like, the entire league was like...
Yeah, I don't think the Seahawks ever had the ability to change that outcome, though. Like, you're not going to franchise tag them.
That's true.
Which maybe the argument is they should have, with Zach Charbonnet being injured for the year. But it's like, I don't see them franchise tagging a running back to run it, you know, to go try and do the same thing again without, like, I expect the Seahawks to take a step back, point blank. Like, I expect them to regress without a great offensive coordinator and that defense losing, like, half their guys. So I expect them to be more middle of the pack this year. Still being good. They might go to the playoffs. It depends on how good the Niners are, if you ask me. If the Niners are kind of meh, then I could see the Seahawks winning a couple of division games and getting in. I think the Rams are blowing up that division.
As a Ravens fan, and you'll also appreciate this as a Bengals fan, I can't keep living in the shadow of the Chiefs and Mahomes doing stuff. And every year they do something, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, the meme of, we can't let this happen again, is like...
Do you know... Fun fact I heard yesterday. Mahomes has never had a 1,000-yard running back while he's played.
Really?
The last time they had it was when they had the guy who was, you know, basically keeping the spot warm for him. I'm forgetting his name. Alex Smith, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Alex Smith's last year was the last time they had a 1,000-yard rusher.
That just shows how good Mahomes is. He wills that team to some... Well, on the defense.
And the refs.
Yeah.
And the refs.
Oh,
sorry.
I won't.
Sorry, I'm salty about some things.
Oh, no, I agree. They heavily favored the Chiefs in a lot of games. And when some of those refs got let go, it's like, oh, the Chiefs should have retired those refs' numbers because their best, their best players just win.
Oh, PI. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, did he complain just a little too much? Okay, we'll give it to you.
Was he clearly a runner and still in bounds, but he got he got legally tackled, but it was like kind of close?
My problem is they don't give it to Josh Allen. They don't give it to Lamar. They don't give it to Joe Burrow. They don't give it to either of those three, but they give it to him.
Who does not get calls to go his way most of the time. I know Ravens fans are probably going to, go to the comments and be like, at this point in time in the video, it'd be like, timestamp, be like, I disagree. That one call from 4 years ago, and like, I get it. Like, calls go both ways. But I feel like Burrow has a lot not go his way compared to some that do. It's just, I think he kind of has the mentality of like, put your head down, get back to work. Like, don't care. You got to win in spite of the refs. So then, like, he doesn't complain to the refs. So then the refs don't, like, give him the makeup calls.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just, I feel like it's different when they look at Lamar and they look at Joe and they look at Josh, and when they start running, because Joe, people won't give him credit for it, but he is actually a good runner.
Sneaky athletic upside.
It's sort of like Sam Darnold, where it's a little funny to say, but legitimately edges and D linemen have come up to Sam and been like, "You're a little faster than what I thought you would be."
Oh, see, that's the thing is Burrow just needs to throw the ball and get rid of it, so he's not put in those positions as much, because he does try and go like big play hunting sometimes, but then sometimes it breaks down and he does like weird athletic things, and it's like he threw the ball parallel to the ground. Like, what?
Yeah. And my favorite one of him is when he stepped up in the pocket continues to collapse. He goes forward, and as he's falling forward, he chucks it forward and still gets the first down like 20 yards down the field, the tee. And I'm like,
oh, dude, the tee play where he like caught it and then reached it over the goal line as he was getting tackled. Oh, that, talk about great play.
It's like you have these explosive, but if Joe, Josh, or Lamar step outside the pocket, they are not offered the same protection as what Patrick Mahomes is.
No, it's because he's the best in the league. It's we probably shouldn't spend a whole segment here talking, I hate the refs, I hate the Chiefs. I do hate the Chiefs. But it's all, you kind of have to expect these things and plan on it and, win in spite of the refs. Just be dominant. Like, yeah, that's what I've been saying for years. Because I remember walking, to Maple Dining Hall as a freshman in college and listening to, podcasts, and, the conversation was like, Burrow, through 3 years, he got injured, whatever, lost a season, whatever. Went to the Super Bowl, went to the AFC North, or not AFC North, went to the AFC Championship game and had a close loss to Patrick Mahomes, and guys were like, well, if he keeps up this pace, it's going to be like Mahomes versus him. Like, if he wins a Super Bowl next year, they're going to be like really close. It'll be like, who's the one, who's the two, and then that's gone way out the window in the 3 years since or 4 years since. Dang. It's not like, I remember a conversation was had of like, Burrow is not far behind Mahomes in terms of where they're at as like the top dog, but that's, a couple injuries and a couple terrible bad season, that goes by pretty quick.
All we can do is roll with the punches, and you gotta execute despite what goes against you.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the Ravens have fallen victim to not executing when it matters. And when you were saying against the Chiefs and the rest, you're preaching to the choir. It's Ravens fans. We agree with everything that was just said, but. Again, insert against the Chiefs, AFC Championship, Zay Flowers fumbling on the goal line for a touchback. Insert Mark Andrews dropping a 2-point conversion. Insert.
See, that one was kind of just Mark Andrews just dropping the ball. Like,
he dropped it.
Yeah, like, that's not one where I'd attribute it to the refs or the Chiefs. It's just sometimes Mahomes' magic affects your team in weird ways.
Our problem has always been we can't execute when it mattered. And it's like, that needs to get cleaned up. And I actually put that a lot on Harbaugh, because at some point you got to go, yeah, the player needs to execute, but it's the coach's job that if he is not executing and doing that the coach does something. And Harbaugh never did anything, and it was like, at some point I stopped looking at the player, and then I look at the coach and go, what are you doing?
Yeah. No. All right, well... Boo Browns, boo Steelers, go Bengals.
Go Ravens.
If you guys have listened through all of this, it would appear to be a little bit over 4 hours.
Is it 10?
It is 10:22, and we started talking about 6 o'clock. So this is going to be multiple episodes, and if you got through the end of it, congratulations, you are a diehard among diehards.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the YouTube pleasantries. Like, comment, subscribe. I know there's some hot takes through this 4 or so hours that you definitely agree with, definitely don't agree with. Let us know. I'd love to hear those from you.
Oh, yeah.
And, have a good day. And remember, the NFL draft is on the 23rd. It's coming up in less than 2 weeks, and it's one of my favorite days of the year. Is that first round?
It's gonna be so much fun. I've been thinking of doing a live stream for that a little bit and live reaction on that, but we'll see. And we have like fully 4 guys that will listen to the whole of this episode from start to finish. So
Shout out to those 4 guys.
thank you, NT and David. I know you will be the first 2 to watch it.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be a part, and I look forward to being back in the future. And it sounds like at the start, through the first 4 games of the seasons, we might need to have another little sit down just to like the pre-matchup conversation. So
Oh yeah, we got 2 coming.
look forward to that, and probably I imagine a post-draft. A little sit down, little talk might be in order.
Where did the teams just go? What's the AFC North rising, and where are we all going? Yeah.
Stock up, stock down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, it's been good.
Thank you guys for jumping in. As Josh said, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Your comments will be featured in the long form in the next videos. And if you're on Spotify, please do the same thing, because I know some of you listen on Spotify too. So thank you all so much. See you next time. Have a great day.